Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Friday. The weekend is finally here. I hope you all have had a safe week. Looking forward to the weekend, such as I am. Good morning to all of you in the chat. It's good to see everybody. We have some very interesting information. It looks like the TikTok crew was hard at work last night, and of course, Tony reveals some information. I see the rumor mill was hard at work yesterday. Uh, what should we address first? Should we address the TikTok crew and who the latest Stephen Crabtree, or should we go ahead and address the speculation that Chris Proudfoot was on this panel? It's up to all of you. I have a few things to say about that myself, but my biggest thing being, if it were Chris, does he not have a right to his anonymity like everybody else in this chat? Is he not allowed to go on panels and not reveal that he is him? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I get what people are saying, but I don't think it was him. I just don't. So I went because people are saying he didn't even cover his voice. So I went and I'll show you my examples. The drama lovers, as always. You know how it goes. Okay. So the gentleman off the bat said that he is from Tennessee, right? So he's going to have that same tang to his voice, if you will. All right, so let's see.
Sense of why it's happening. And the only thing that normal people can conclude is that something fishy is up.
Right. I mean, if you add all the characters,
Thing that having more and more characters come into the situation with no sense of why it's happening. And the only thing that normal people can conclude.
Right. So you guys hear that. All right. You guys tell me what you think. I told a chatter that was, insistent it's definitely him. I told them that I would go ahead and ask all of you. And then we're going to get into the TikTok crew.
He's going to walk through that door, and this street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
Stepdad Chris says it's been an emotional roller coaster that all started.
It'll be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
Stepdad.
Well, what do you think? Let's do a poll really quick. Let's see. Let's see what the majority thinks. And again, like I said, I don't care if it was or wasn't. I think he has a right to his anonymity like everybody else. Let's see what you all think. Yeah, I don't think so either. But I just did a poll. If you guys want to vote on that, that's truth, not feelings. I come. Yeah. So they're saying that is absolutely Chris. To me, it didn't sound like Chris. Again, I don't care if it's Chris. I feel like when Denim Dreamin' or Stormy Skies is in here chatting, nobody's asking who and what they are. Right. My panel yesterday is me, Tiffany. So did anybody else see Julie's lovely comments last night? You are something, Julie. I'll give you that. You are something. Again, if I was the Proudfoots, I would not want this woman anywhere near me. The fact that you run around and you say the things you say is like, I don't know. I just think there's something strange about her. You're crying about people looking in. So let me show you all a few of her comments. These were all sent to me because this person was like, huh. She says one thing in this chat, she says another in another, she says another in the comment section. She's kind of all over the place. And then I like the fact that somebody showed us their search engine, and boy, you've been searching for me. She's a little odd. She's just odd to me. I think I don't question her credentials. I think she's very much credentialed. I think, none of that comes into play, but she's very, very biased, but she's also, yes, throwing a fit. Yes, that, so it's okay that she's looking on their property and she's over in their neighborhood and she's, all over the internet trashing her. I mean, trashing the Proudfoots, but don't you dare look up her information. I mean, I don't understand it. Are you having Tony on? No, he's welcome to come on if he'd like, but no, I didn't plan on having Tony on. Okay, so she's an actor, so she's playing the streamers, maybe. So I'm going to show you guys some of these, and then we are going to go into what I found about Stephen Crabtree, the TikTok Brady Bunch crew, and then we'll go from there. There's some very, very interesting information to be had. She's using very poor judgment and total lack of professionalism. Hello, BB. You can have all the credentials in the world, but you go on all the tragedy pimp channels, you lose credibility with me. I think a lot of people feel that way when it comes to Julie. I try to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she comes in one chat and she says, if I could stop rumors, I would, Kimber, but, can't really do that. Of course he's there, Naomi. So I love the fact that, like, in here, she's like, I'm not going to do any drama. It's all about Sebastian. And then she's right back over there like, that was Chris, and I'm going to compare phone calls. Saying she's going to press charges for people looking at her IMB and her production video, which is all, sorry, but that's all public. Talking about there's kids in her videos. Nobody's doing anything like that. Like, that's you're being a little dramatic here. So here's a few of them. I don't even want to show this person's face. I can't stand them, but I'm going to have to. I'm extremely convinced of who Truth Not Feelings is. In that one channel, they were stating facts that I know only one person would know. Also, they remembered the type of leash, but not the weather. Well, aren't you just a brainiac? They remembered what type of leash, but not the weather. Yes, because the type of leash has been, not the type of leash, if the dog was on leash or off, has been revealed. People don't really normally talk about the weather. They talk more about the facts, such as if the dog was leashed or not. Yeah, they should. All those criminals should call the police. All right. How do I zoom on this one? I said I was not going to confirm or deny. I'm suspicious. Yes. So I recorded my own call with him. No, not the Heather one everyone heard. I never released it out of respect, but I will test it. I bet you would. Bet you would. I know. Absolutely. Next one. If it's a match, guess what? LOL. Him and all those people is harassment of a federal officer. If they keep dragging my name through the mud, congratulations, there is an extra charge. So I found this one to be very interesting, right? There is an extra charge. An extra charge. What's the first charge? But an extra charge because it's harassment of a federal officer. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but as public figures, like, we are allowed to commentate and speculate. It's just not. Just like you can't get a search warrant, it's just not. So, okay. I hear you, but the problem is I'm a captain in the Army, and any drama causes immediate investigation, and it could severely impact my career. Right, that's what we've been saying. Put a 1 in the chat if that's exactly what we've been saying to Julia here. You are the one that is reveling in the drama. You are the one that is feeding the drama. You, my friend, are the one that jumped knees deep into the drama. It's exactly what we've been saying to you. I don't, is she? I don't know. I don't know. Look at all these ones. Okay. I'm extremely convinced. Okay, we already saw that. He literally came out of left field and started blasted my film production company. Blasted my film. Right, but because you're part of this case, Julie, because you inserted yourself, people are definitely going to deep dive, and they found that. Like, she's the victim here. I'm sure in a channel tomorrow, someone will be talking about how I said this. LOL, whatever. Yeah, of course we will. Of course we will, and I think you enjoy it. Hey, Savannah. I think you enjoy it. Now, again, nobody's questioning your credentials, just your professionalism. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. I'm not confirming that it is Chris Proudfoot, but it's either someone he's very close to or it is him. I've literally had enough of the childish bullshit. Then why do you keep feeding into the childish bullshit, Jules? Why do you keep doing it? I'm on a night leg with Ara and Gator, my friend Mike and my cousin Howie. I'll be listening now. I'm overlaying my recorded phone call with him to match that audio. You got a lot of time on your hands. Let us know what it comes out to. Yeah, and she's also using it to threaten people to stop her from speaking about her. Mine, Joneson. Girl, mine. My video yesterday. They brought my film company into this for no reason. We raise money for veterans with PTSD. Also, a few of our films have kids in them. Like, people need to stop exposing them like that. So now if the films have kids in them, that's exposing the kids. How about you stop exposing Sebastian Rogers? What do you guys think of that? You think that's a good idea? I think that's a good idea, Miss Jules. Oh, I'm going into that as well, Kelly. Just hang tight, sweetheart. We didn't get there yet. So like, people need to stop exposing them like that. They're in public films. It's not quite exposed. It's not exposing. Yes, Josen, yes. We're stalking her because they were looking her up on LinkedIn yesterday. Right, that's exactly what she said. No, when you come into somebody's life and you present yourself as a professional, they have every right at that point to then look you up and look up your credentials. It's not harassment or stalking. Matter of fact, you're telling everybody to look these things up. Thank you, Money Moves. Isn't it weird that Tony just happens to be good friends with his supposed neighbor of the Proudfoots, who apparently just now decided to speak up on info he supposedly has? Yes. Yes, it's absolutely amazing. We're going to get to that as well. So these are her comments. We raise money for veterans. Also, if their films have kids in them, like, people need to stop exposing them like that. No, I don't think anybody actually played your films. Oh, was she, Joneson? That's right, she was, girl. You're too much there. You're too much, Julie. But didn't Julie write in this chat yesterday that she's not disparaged? Basically, not verbatim, but she's not going to disparage the Proudfoot. She's there for Sebastian. She's not with the drama. Blah, blah, blah. But then you run right back over to a channel that is bad-mouthing the Proudfoots again, and now you're the victim. But the problem is, I'm a captain in the Army, and any drama causes an immediate investigation and could severely impact my career. I think then you shouldn't do what you're doing, right? You're responsible for that. I told her more than once, right. I mean, we can't tell her what to do. We recommended it. And then here she is saying herself that this could cause an investigation. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it does, to be honest. That's what I think. Yeah, she said she was not going to be biased towards any of the parents. And, oh, please. You just blow my mind. I'll be honest. You just blow my mind there, Jules. I don't understand you. I respect and appreciate your credentials. I thank you for being willing to help in the search for Sebastian. But at what point are you causing more harm than good? Because you keep reappearing in all these conversations. Okay, so let me exit out of that. So now on to our friend Tony. So many of you know Tony was, how do I reset? Okay, reset. Tony was on TikTok again last night. Tony enjoys TikTok. TikTok Tony. TikTok Tony. And this time we are blessed with the presence of his good friend, Crabtree, Mr. Crabtree over there. Whatever. Even the way, like, the conversation moved on from her yesterday, but she kept bringing it back to herself. It was just very okay. Like, I think she just enjoys the attention, if I'm being honest. All right, so here's TikTok Tony and all his TikTok glory. I couldn't help but think, get the thumbnail of the joke, and that's how they became the TikTok bunch. That's what they are at this point. Bunch of goofy people on TikTok. So let's listen to what he had to say.
So we had 3 new bits of information come in between last night and midday today. The first one.
Isn't that amazing? From last night to midday today, they had all this information come in. Is that just so fantastic? And the first thing you do is you come over and you tell TikTok. I hope you don't impede on this investigation. Oh, by the way, I did order a new mouse, so stop complaining about the mouse sound, please. My son's a gamer. Okay. Julia's been in Chattington's channel enough to know that. Right. She likes the drama. She likes the attention, Tina, if you ask me. Hey, crazy chicken lady. Good morning to everybody coming in. You listen, a lot of people are commenting like, this is a pro Proudfoot. No, this is a pro Sebastian channel. I absolutely think that Chris Proudfoot is aggressive. I think he's an asshole. I think he is very protective of his family. I believe he probably likely didn't have a good relationship with Sebastian. I think all the parents pretty much effed up at some point or another. But what do we do with that, right? There's enough channels out here that are trashing the Proudfoots. If you want to listen to a channel trashing the Proudfoots, go join one of the many dozens. Over here, I'm pointing out the red flags of Seth and his new team of A-list felons, okay? Hey, Kathy.
Hey, Ray.
Are you crying?
Yeah, I was laughing my ass off. I reviewed this last night, this live, and this creator on TikTok, she was so bothered that one of her enemies on TikTok was recording her live that she totally checked out of the live and then eventually talks only about that, and then she just ends it right in the middle and don't say nothing.
Well, that sounds like a very mature panel to join with such a serious conversation pertaining to a missing child.
Oh yeah, we got a new neighbor whose husband is a sheriff, whose her hubby's BFF is the detective on the case, and she's got a good friend that lives right next door to Katie Proudfoot's mom in Virginia, and the cops were sitting there while she was on this live.
Oh wow. They have a lot of time, huh? These people are crazy. This is unbelievable.
I was laughing.
All right, so let's proceed. So he gets this, miraculous information. Oh, let me see where my poll's at. So, oh wait, my stream's not caught up with the poll. Hold on. Let's see where we're at with it. We got 223 votes, 82% say no. All right, so let's proceed with this.
One was last night, which was we got evidence that showed that Sebastian was texting Katie's mom the night before he went missing. Nothing really significant or deep. He was texting her, but, we were led to believe that.
So he was just texting his grandmother. Okay, and okay, but whatever.
There wasn't really any communication between them. He was texting her about what a great breakfast he had. I mean, it was all positive stuff.
Oh, wow. So Sebastian was saying something positive, like he had a great breakfast? His horrible mother, Katie, the abuser, made him or fed him a great breakfast?
And I could be wrong, but I believe that they didn't have a relationship. Katie didn't have a relationship with her, or much of one. So that's just weird.
Well, maybe he's in nonchalant conversation with his grandmother. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't have a relationship with my daughter's grandmother, but my daughter does. So I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, but even if so, it's like it was a stupid nonchalant little I had a great breakfast. What's the big deal? Yeah. Why is that? Relevant information is bizarre.
Was that from his phone directly?
Correct. Okay. And then so then on top of that, we got information that there's actual video footage of Sebastian from the 26th, which was much bigger. But then probably the biggest thing in my opinion. So
footage of him on the 26th. How many times have I said that the police likely have footage they haven't released, right? There's a reason the police are convinced there's no foul play. They're convinced Sebastian walked out the front door on his own. They are convinced of these things, likely because they have footage. Do you think that if they had that footage, they really want it out there? And that's what I don't know. Internet, nobody. Yeah, I guess a great question. Was it Katie's bio mom or adoptive mom? Great question.
Yeah, that is.
So now the biggest thing, according to this host over here,
that we got was that law enforcement had a theory the first 72 hours And after that first 72 hours, their theory took a 180-degree turn, which I thought was huge.
Well, tell us the theory then. Tell us the theory, Mr. Sebastian's Army. Get out of here. Tony the Phony.
Because we know what their theory was early. It was that he ran away.
Oh, was it? Well, are you sure, Tony? How? Listen, there's 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on this panel. Nobody says a word. Nobody asks any further questions. You know why? Because you can't with this guy. So he's going to say all of this with zero proof. This is just miraculously happened overnight. He found out this information, significant information. And what does he do as the PR guy? He runs to TikTok to state it.
And he states that law enforcement, knows all this. But of course, Seth didn't know anything until Tony told him, like always, Seth don't know no details. But then Tony turns around and says, but I don't know the facts of this case.
Of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't. Wow.
Someone in the chat just asked, how do we really know that it was him texting?
You just you have to trust that I've got written support of that before I would release it. So
I've gotten written support of that before I would release it. You know what else? You know what I got written support of? That everybody on Tony's team is a fucking felon. Okay. That's what I got written support of. And that's what we're going to jump into as soon as we finish this lovely, weird, horrible audio discussion.
You know, it's in my opinion, it's not quite as big of a deal as the other information. If you don't believe it, that's completely up to you. But Cindy can tell you, she's been working with me a long time. Cindy was involved when I released the information about the new witness with Caleb. And, I don't just release information willy-nilly. I mean, I'm generally not the guy to release anything.
Really? And let's see, who is this Cindy person? Who's Cindy now? So he's not one to release information willy-nilly. He just sits on a TikTok late at night doing.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm just reading the comments. That's not me asking. I trust you with all my heart that you're in this for.
Breakdown.
I trust you with all my heart.
Run down.
Right.
So we had 3 new bits of information.
3 new bits of information there he had.
But then he turns around and says, I don't know the facts of this case. I'm like, what?
And how would he, like, the police changed their mind and, blah-de-da. Okay, Tony.
Yeah, he said they did a 180-degree turn after 72 hours. On the 73rd hour, they did a 180-degree turn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Stephen Crabtree, right? New to the scene. Very curious who he is. We already went over who Nina, however she really pronounced her name, Green is. Let's check out. Did I just say the wrong name? Let's check out who our good friend here is, right? First off, everybody kept correcting me saying, Seth didn't buy a motorcycle. He's being lent one. And so the woman spoke out. And let me address this first before we do everything else. So she goes, I would like to make a few announcements as I'm getting aggravated with all the drama and rumors. I am one of the organizers of the Ride for Sebastian that is being held this Sunday. My husband, myself, and his MC Motorcycle Club is the ones who have organized this ride. I would like to publicly debunk a lot of these rumors. No, this is not a fundraiser event. No money or fees are being taken for participating in this ride Sunday. The ride is spring awareness for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and to help get and keep his name out there. Secondly, this ride as well as the visual has not been canceled. The only thing that has changed is the location. Nothing has changed in regards to the ride. Thirdly, the father, Seth Rogers, is not being lent a motorcycle to ride. The words clearly on the Pascal show the other night, Seth stated that to Pascal, hey, Pascal, the guy that is hosting the MC ride has a bike he can lend you. Pascal jokes and asks if it's a 10-speed. I know this for a fact because my husband sent Seth the text telling him Pascal could use our second motorcycle if he wanted to ride in the ride while they was on live. This is a missing child, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. We're all adults. We could put a stop to this big circus if people would stop taking things out of context and listen. Moving forward, we are Team Sebastian, would love nothing more for people to be more positive, stop pointing fingers, twisting stories and words, and stand for what we are all here for. Sebastian, Wayne, Drake, Rogers. Be Team Sebastian. I agree with that.
My question is, Chris was trying to set up this bike run.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. And then boom, now it's them.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at least somebody's setting it up, right? But I think the big takeaway here is the fact that it says right here, Seth Rogers is not being lent a motorcycle to ride. So all the people that were in my comments saying he's being lent a motorcycle by them, they're giving him a motorcycle to ride. Here is the woman herself saying, no,
Right.
we didn't offer him a motorcycle to ride.
I thought he rented one or something. I seen or something to that effect.
I don't know. I don't even think it's, I just find out everything that was discussed on my stream yesterday. These people found it significant to point out that he didn't buy a motorcycle. How about everything else? Like, there's a little bit bigger things to discuss here.
Yeah, there was. You did a great live yesterday.
Now, Stephen Crabtree, right? Stephen Crabtree. We keep hearing him. He wants to set up the 501c. Hey, Roddy. All these things. Who is Stephen? Who is Stephen Crabtree? Give me just 1 second and I'll show you all. So, like I said, we already found out who Nina is. Nina Glass. I think I said green. I meant to say Nina Glass. I said green because all she sees is green. But so Nina Glass, we found out who she is. Well, let's look up who Stephen is. Stephen Crabtree made his way to an article. Theft of property, right? Jeez. So we're going to go over here, share this tab. Stephen Michael Crabtree, theft of property, 500 to 1,000. All right. Now I'm going to come back over to this tab. Defendant Stephen Crabtree. This is his record. Oh, that is Stephen. A little odd there. So Stephen Crabtree also has theft up to 1,000 and a probation violation. The dude won an LLC, 501c3, and also a drone pilot who walks into local businesses and they give them all the information, right? So it's good I found this out. Yeah, Allie. I don't even think it's important. I was on his TikTok. She has a ton of missing person cases posted with a few likes. So odd. If she's kind of hiding herself. I apologize for the whole weird. That photo is something to do with him, but I didn't mean to put it up. Whatever. Old Crabtree. So yeah, so this is the newest member. Another.
Quite an interesting team.
Quite an interesting team. So we got Tony, Stephen, and we got Nina, the A-star team.
Yeah, she's the event planner / search and rescue lady.
Yeah. Yeah. That has 5 back surgeries, 2 knee surgeries, and is living off disability, but is able to go out and search for missing children.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make this shit up.
I know. Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. So Stephen has been all over all the things. And we heard, what did Tony say? He's salt to the earth type of person. He's salt to the earth. 12 days ago for the first time on TikTok. No way. So they don't even know each other to know he's salt of the earth human? What? Right, sis. Why don't you want these people on your property? How dare you not want these people on your property? All right, so what do you think about that?
Oof. Yeah, they're not coming nowhere near me.
I wouldn't want them anywhere near me either.
Yeah, no.
So check this out, because this is weird too. These people, this Jules, you're such a troublemaker. It appears CP is stalking Jules with fake accounts on Twitter. Why does he continuously do this? How do you know that these are Chris Proudfoot? You know, she's out here talking about harassment. Oh, my thing's blocking us. Harassment of officer and all these things, but she has no problem inciting all this hate against Chris based off of speculation and theories. Who's to say that any of this is Chris? You don't think other people have a problem with her?
Yeah. Exactly. And Betty Jr., which I found a Betty Jr. I'm not kidding you. She's a spitting image of Betty. And she does a lot of the same cases Betty does, but she's a psychic medium too. And she's on TikTok. And Betty's one of her idols. But they even they look identical. It could be Betty, 15 years, 20 years ago. It's insane. But
That's who this person is?
No, she's one of the ones that are running with this stuff this morning. And she's saying that Chris Proudfoot, she's got proof that he now has a TikTok page and that he's trolling people. And she just knows it's him because he only follows one other page.
That's so stupid. These people are, because he follows first off, I have TikTok. I follow one other page as well because I don't use TikTok. So what if Chris has TikTok? Is he not allowed to have TikTok? So this whole conversation, she writes, I'm Team Sebastian. As stated in our phone call, I'm happy to assist you as well, shipmate. He responds back, we're all Team Sebastian, but trying to figure out who you're answering to regarding your search efforts. That's all. Then says, what are you talking about? I never spoke to you. These people have accused everybody, including myself, as being Chris Proudfoot. Everybody is Chris. Are you guys paranoid? Are you that deep in that you're oddly everybody who disagrees with you is now Chris Proudfoot? What is going on with these people? Shipmate, right.
And I'm sorry, but Chris has been brutally honest during his interviews and stuff. I don't think he'd have a problem standing up saying, no, it's me. I'm under my name. I'm saying it,
Right. Right.
They have all the time in the world to go spend hours and hours hoping somebody says something on TikTok just so he can jump in the chat and say something or something on YouTube or it's insane.
It doesn't make much sense. And then, I found this to be interesting as well. This person says, my drive through Sebastian Rogers subdivision, it was very sad. No one missing person flyer throughout the subdivision or around the surrounding areas of his home. Where are you at, Seth? I thought all your money went towards flyers. Why don't you have flyers in your son's neighborhood? I've got TikTok. Definitely want to follow any of them. Sooner wait for channels like Granny's, call them out and their lies. Yeah, I don't even want to give them any views. Does anybody find it bizarre that Seth said he spent all of his money on flyers, but yet they're telling you there's not one single flyer in his subdivision or the surrounding?
Right. And he did say that. He said, well, I bought flyers for $25,000 worth.
Right.
That's a lot of flyers, dude.
That's my next question. That's what I'm wondering. That's going to be my next poll. Do you think that Tony is aware of who and what these people are?
I don't think Tony cares.
Merely?
He's getting attention and he's loving every minute of it.
Let's see. They will say Chris took them all down like they said before, right? I know. Like Chris, who's still working because he didn't have a GoFundMe to pay his bills, is walking around town just snatching down these flyers at every given chance. But not one footage, not one photo, not one video of him take it down. And isn't Terry Lynn, aren't you driving around this town? You didn't put up any flyers?
That one there, she's a tad unhinged.
Oh, yeah, she's an odd one.
But what they failed to tell people is it was signs that Chris made that Chris was putting up. He wasn't tearing anything down.
He was placing them up. I wouldn't be surprised.
Signs
I
he made.
heard that. Please. Zero proof of that as well. Nonsense. Someone's tires got slashed locally while out searching. Like people are just out here slashing tires. They're threatening children. They're doing all these things, right? The Proudfoots are orchestrating all these things. Chris and Katie the other day. I'm not surprised. Hey, SS. Yes, this new brother that joined. He's a fantastic person. He's just another one on probation and theft. Now, listen, his record's a lot better than Nina's. I will say that. Very similar to Tony's. But still, nonetheless, the fact of the matter is all these people that are coming on the scenes and asking for money.
Did you hear that live you were playing? did you hear them, ladies? They were chasing down cars. Strangers in their chasing these cars down.
What cars
Thinking that
down?
some white Elantra or something running with the white car thing, chasing cars down to see if Sebastian's in the cars. What?
That's so stupid.
In this day and age, you're gonna run like a maniac up to some total stranger's car? No.
That is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
Mm.
Chasing crime. Well, probably chase bank and crime because she's likely another one who has financial fraud. Even if it was him, it's less likely that a guilty person would troll than a pissed off innocent person who handles things wrong. I would assume a guilty person would put on their best face. That's true. Her tires were supposedly slashed. Right. No police report. This woman who films everything, did she film the tires? Did anybody see photos of the slashed tires? Film it? No. Just a bunch of cash apps coming through to help replace the tires, I bet, right? The live last night, Tony said that Seth didn't want him communicating with the PD because he was trying to gain trust again. No, I did not. Nonsense. Seth didn't want him communicating with PD. Seth doesn't want his PR guy communicating with the police because he's trying to gain trust again. So do you not trust your PR guy? What the hell is going on here?
Well, Tony will sit there and say, I have full authority to post this, pass out pictures, speak on Seth's behalf. So the live that I did the other night from one of the TikTok lives, he told these women to go ahead and post these pictures, put them out there. A couple minutes later, he turns around and says, and this is after he says, I have full authority. Then he turns around a couple minutes later, after these women are immediately posting these pictures, saying, no, Seth just messaged me, do not put the photos out. He said he doesn't tell him stuff. So how are you his PR person if you're not even communicating with him?
Right. Maybe Seth is slowly backing away from him, trying to get away from him. That would be great. Right. The entire team doesn't have reliable vehicles unless YouTube donates new ones. How true is that? How true is that? It is just stupid drama. So he's basically saying, I haven't spoken to Seth, but I have full permission to put all of this out, but then says Seth told me not to put it out. What is going on? Do you guys think Seth is waking up to what is happening and trying to back away from this Tony guy? I don't know. That's my hope. But there's something weird. There's a lot weird here. But this is really weird. Gain trust back. Why did he lose it? Because he has a big mouth? Right.
Yeah. And Tony said that's what he's going to try to build a relationship with law enforcement in this case so that they'll talk to him and he can be the communicator between law enforcement and Seth.
No. That's what the PIs were doing. The professionals that he got rid of, that's what they were doing. You know, and I heard all these people over on the stream the other day saying that, they stopped working with the PIs because Chris threatened her. And so she actually came out and made a statement. Oh, wow. 86% of you or 84% of you think that he is aware of who his team is. That's very interesting. Wow. So she came out and addressed everything. She said, basically, you have a professional statement, right? Listen close, Jules, because this might be good for you to hear. You have a professional statement that her working with these people that Tony is bringing in, with Tony and his crew of cronies, could hinder her professional license and the integrity of the case. This is what a real professional does. They back away. Birds of a feather. They back away. I was unwilling to work with individuals possibly being brought in as I felt it could hinder my license and the integrity of the case. And then she goes on to say, no, it's not because anyone was trying to protect me from Chris Proudfoot. Yeah. Right, announced on a TikTok panel, Tammy. That's quite the place to announce it, right? On a late night TikTok panel.
I'm finding out that TikTok is a cesspool. It's worse than
Oh,
YouTube.
absolutely.
It is worse than YouTube.
I can't stand it.
And the scary part is a lot of them are starting to cross over to YouTube.
Yeah, they were in there fighting.
With,
They were in there fighting during a very important discussion involving a missing 15-year-old child. They're in there having a back and forth TikTok war through super chats of all things. Tic-tac-toe, Tony. We'll be moving the location visual from Long Hollow Church Chapel to Beach High School. We encourage everyone to participate in the ride regardless of what you drive. No matter how many times I try to step back and look fairly at all, Seth still looks more sketch with all his shenanigans. He has a lot of different inconsistencies. I don't know why you keep warning her. I think she's been involved since the beginning. They know each other's agenda. Yeah, so let's go back and look at how she came to be, right? She came to be into this whole case because she was invited by no other than Cajun Navy, who had a lot of problems. Hey, Joneson.
Hey, babe.
What's up, girl? What do you think of all this?
I say fuck them all.
Fuck them all.
Hey, Johnson.
Hey, Kathy, this is insane.
It is. It
a
is.
Crew of crooks. A crew of crooks. That's what they are.
The crony, Brady Bunch, TikTok Bunch crew. They sure are. Used salesmen.
It's so crazy.
And then you have in, like I said, you add in the fact that you have professionals who have all dropped off. They've all walked away, right? All of them. They're like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore, except for the one so-called professional who's like knee deep in everything. But you look and it's like, it literally is like tic-tac-toe. You can connect the dots to each of these people and see how they are all connected to the circus they've created.
Yep.
It's insane. Like, I think it was your video. Didn't you put a video out explaining that Chloe decided to drop because of the people they were planning to bring them?
That's what I was just showing, trying to let Jules get a little, example. But yeah, she said it would hinder the case and her license.
Yeah.
And Jules wouldn't think that would interfere, that it could have a negative effect being in the military. The military is very strict. I just...
Well, I don't too much care for Chloe either, because on Web Sleuths, she did kind of do the dog whistle that got people going and looking up Katie's parent or, her mom.
And then we had that recorded phone call that was leaked.
This whole thing is just disgusting.
Whoa, do you see this?
The person that matters the most is lost in all this, Sebastian.
What is that?
Julie R. wrote, one thing, it is opening some people's eyes. Someone super chatted that they gave Seth $2,500 and her family are devastated they feel used.
Oh, ouch.
Oh my God.
That's a chunk of money.
Or beauty skincare. Might be a low budget film production in the making. Yeah. It's really sad. It's really sad because at the end of it, I'm going to play this video really quick. This is what needs to be the focus. And unfortunately, I'm guilty myself of not keeping it the focus, but we'll play this for you all really quick. This is what brought us all together today. A black long sleeve shirt, black sweatpants, and glasses. Sebastian has a medical condition that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. I think people keep forgetting that part of it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it too. So I say his name a lot, but I need to do better showing his videos like this.
I don't even think, I listen to Seth and I don't hear him even say Sebastian's name a lot.
Not often.
And then you have the fact that Tony said he gave the questions that could be asked on the polygraph, that's bizarre.
It is, and I think Tony Mathis is just full of shit, honestly.
So do I.
Yeah,
So do I.
a reputable examiner is not going to take someone else's questions who really has nothing to do with the case.
I agree, Kathy.
He's retired FBI. He knows what questions to ask in a polygraph. I mean,
I just don't. What makes, okay, and then going back to, and that's what I'm saying. I think we're all guilty of getting lost in the calls, right? But
Mhm.
I think it's because we're constantly hearing, okay, we know the red flags with Chris and Katie because everybody from the jump has had tunnel vision on Chris and Katie. So we are trying to put out the information and the red flags pertaining to the other parent. It doesn't mean we think the other parent is guilty. No, it's just y'all are refusing to open your eyes to red flags across the board. Things that are sus across the board.
Things that
Instead,
matter.
yeah, and so it makes us seem like we're team Katie, team Chris. No, we're team Sebastian, but y'all aren't paying attention.
Right, making the focus become more on, look, here's the red flags of Seth. I understand you guys think Chris is an asshole and he's done this and he's aggressive in a CPS report. But here's the CPS report involving Seth. Here's Seth saying the most bizarre things on panel. Here's Seth on panels making crude jokes and, acting like he's up there with a bunch of ex-roommates, just busting it up.
Mhm.
But they rather focus on the fact that, oh, Chris was over on this panel joking.
Yeah, that's so horrible. And then Tony Mathis saying that Chris being on that panel, joking, pretending, doing the Sling Blade impersonation. Tony Mathis literally out of his mouth said that was Chris making fun of Sebastian. Are they trying to say Sebastian was like Sling Blade? Like, I don't get it.
You know what? You're so right. Somebody wrote that in my comment section. They're like, I can't believe Chris came up on your panel using a voice changer. And just like he went on another panel mocking disabilities and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
He was just doing an impersonation, playing around with Clue and them.
It wasn't anything to throw shade on Sebastian or make fun of Sebastian or anything. He's just being a human being. I mean, what was the big deal?
I don't think any of the parents should be bashed, but of course they're going to be looked into when their child comes up missing, right? But my whole thing is keep that energy across the board. If you're going to feel that way about Chris and Katie, you need to be willing and able to see the things from Seth as well. Keep the energy.
Right.
100,
well, and that's my whole thing. Keep the energy, right? If it's a problem for Chris to be on a panel joking, then it should be a problem when Seth does it too. And Seth's the one who's been on more panels, more jokes, more, even joking about what jerseys Pascal wears. It's just bizarre. It's like he's fanboying. Here's the comment. It's shady, Dolly. My family got ripped off of $2,500. We gave it to Seth and a lot of other people that day on volunteer. Doctor gave cash to him too. Beware, folks. I like how Dolly had to go to the Facebook group because he couldn't find what he was really looking for.
Yeah, Dolly's gonna do his whole. He's gonna use all the information that you and Nonsense are bringing out, and I'd rather him use that information, but
give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, he'll twist it somehow, because it just doesn't. Like, you can't go from being all hell Seth to
right.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, the tide is turning. That's what's happening. And if Seth is not wanting Tony Mathis to talk to the police department so that he can gain their trust, that ain't gonna happen. He is not gonna gain their trust back. He's running his mouth too much.
What do you think the police are going to open up to two-tongued felon Tony?
What do you think the police are going to open up? They see how chaotic this case is right now. They're not even giving us fucking press conferences. Right. And we are to think that they went up to this Joe Schmo. What was his name? Steven?
Yeah, Steven Crabtree.
and told him some pertinent information? No, miss me with that shit. I don't believe that shit at all. If it comes out to be true in the end, okay, then I'm wrong. But to me, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems really fishy. It seems like,
Well, and look who the information was given to, Jones. And it was given to Tony's buddy, salt of the earth type of person.
yeah, the salt of the air type of person, Tony's buddy. What's the damn chances?
Right. What are the chances of that? Right. The newest member to the team who also needs your money today. Helen's right, because I was in the comments on this stream. Every time Spade tried to bring up something that pertained to Seth, he was like, well, that's just muddy in the water. But let's muddy the water when it comes to the Proudfoots. It was so bizarre who he met 12 days ago. What is Seth doing?
No, Seth, it's like, come on, dude, get a grip. Like, you need to even, like, fuck Chloe, fuck Heather, fuck all these people. The only people you need to be trusting right now in this moment is law enforcement.
Yep. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Or the professionals that were willing to work with you until you brought in these people. Go back to them. So
Yeah,
nonsense just like us.
Yeah, go back to them. I'd rather that than these people.
Absolutely.
And you got Julia, who's up on Clue's panel, having a 30-minute conversation with Truth Not Feelings, and then going to come in here and try to say that that was Chris on your panel yesterday. You're full of shit, Julia. Fuck you too.
Julie, you're weird. She's weird. Like, oh, he knew that the dog was off leash, but he didn't know the weather. Well, you can literally Google and learn about the dogs that were part of the investigation and that they were off leash. But they're not going to say, by the way, the weather was 75 degrees and sunny. That's not going to be part of the articles. Just weird, man.
I'm not going to say because I don't have any proof either way about her credentials. But there's just some red flags with this woman.
Absolutely. Her credentials are legit. Absolutely. That's what she likes to fall back on. They're not. They're legit. Nobody's worried about that. We believe you. You can stop with that. It's your professionalism.
Her actions. Yeah, exactly.
No, purely on a phone call.
Which, this is Tony's love?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not that ATL girl?
Nope.
Wow.
And look at this. Oh, sorry.
Is this the one with Beach last night?
Yeah, this is the one that we were just playing earlier where he drops the bombshells. So Country Brad says, has Jules formed her opinion about Chris based solely on a phone call, or has she met him in person with her dogs? So what cracks me up about that is Julie herself came on my panel on Mother's Day and said that Chris was nice to her during the phone call. So what is the problem? That he wrote you an email and said you don't have permission to come on his property? That he looked at your LinkedIn? Is he not supposed to when you're asking to come to his home?
Well, as soon as they told Chris that he should do an interview with JLR, thank fucking God somebody had some common sense, Chris, and, looked into things. I'm not saying anything bad about JLR. I'm just saying, like, he looked into it to know not to go there,
right?
Because it would just stir shit up more. So
well,
he's looking into, he's trying to vet things, and that's how it should be.
It's funny you say that because I saw people saying Chris will never go on a panel unless they coddle him and they agree with him. I've seen Chris go on several panels, including Frownies, where he was not treated respectfully. He was actually treated like dog shit. Now, Seth, on the other hand, name me one panel Seth has ever gone on that has given him hard questions.
None of them.
None. Zilch.
Absolutely none. So apparently right here, Tony's going to explain the Ellie relationship with Seth. Okay, so let's see what this.
I did hear him say that there was dash cam video. I did hear him say that. But how did he not know that?
That's Katie's, right?
Let me tell you how, Ocean. Do you remember me telling you guys last night that Seth had been accusing them of not giving him the same information that he was giving CP and KP?
So let me pause for just a minute.
Fucking wonder why.
I wonder why, right? First off, we are talking about, again, a discussion. This is supposed to be a professional, right? Tony's supposed to be a PR guy for a father whose child is missing, a 15-year-old boy named Sebastian Rogers. And he is addressing a woman named Beach right now. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this isn't very professional. This isn't what, like, oh, yeah, by the way, Beach X, CP and KP. It's Chris and Katie Proudfoot. Like, put some professionalism in yourself, bro. What are you, a professional TikToker? It just feels, do you know what I mean? Guys, like, it just feels like it's not very professional. It just feels gross. Okay, so he didn't get the same information. We're all shocked.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So walk with me down
Look at him. Sorry.
this path.
What are these things? What are these circle things by their names? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Do you know, Johnson? Okay, she had a pause. Does anybody know what those circle numbers are up top there? Are they coins that they were gifted during the streams? What are they? I'm not familiar with TikTok.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, I
Sorry,
wouldn't be surprised.
I was making Hubs a cup of coffee. You said the coins?
Yeah, these little coins by up here. What are these? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's probably like levels with the lives.
It's either gifts
it's
or viewers'
gifts.
money.
Oh,
Gifts. So it is
wow.
gifts. Okay. Gifted coins. Okay. So there. All right. So there we go. Gifted
Wonderful.
coins. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay.
Early on, they asked Seth to do some things in their mind to gain their trust.
I'm sorry. This guy looks bugged out down here. Check this out. As a former addict, I'm just going to go ahead and call it. Check out his movements at the bottom. This guy's just bizarre.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So walk with me down this path. Early on, they asked Seth to do some things in their mind to gain their trust. He didn't.
Anybody else find that weird? The nose scratch, the weird eye movements, the scratching of his head.
Yeah, I'm watching them.
Are you talking about the one on bottom?
Yeah, our friends, the great new guy, Stephen Crabtree.
I'll watch them closer now.
Yeah, look, I'll rewind it back a minute. Plus, we need to listen to what he's saying anyway. I was focused.
Walk with me down this path. Early on, they asked Seth to do some things in their mind to gain their trust. He didn't do those things, and they cut him off for a long time with communication. He was not getting communication through his PIs.
Now let's switch that, right, Jones? And I'm going to tell you that a long time ago, the police cut off Chris and Katie Proudfoot from having information. What's your first thought?
Because they won't shut the fuck up.
How about you, Kathy?
For everybody.
Because they won't shut up.
How about you guys in the chat? If I came out and I said the police cut off communications with Katie and Chris Proudfoot a long time ago, you'd likely think, well, maybe they know something about them. Maybe they're guilty. Maybe because they won't shut up. Maybe,
Katie's doing what she knows she needs to do to stay in the good graces with Ellie, because she could burn all of YouTube down responding to Seth, and she chooses not to. She
Very
makes
true.
that choice daily.
Well, how about the
not
few
to
times
respond.
that Katie did have to come out and respond when Seth was saying when he exposed the horrible information pertaining to Sebastian, and he said that he never received therapy. Katie comes out and says, well, wait a minute, that's a lie. He did receive that therapy. Suddenly Seth says, well, he did receive therapy, but it wasn't the right kind of therapy.
Yeah, because Seth's a therapist. He knows.
Right.
He knows. Like when he said that he took him out of that because all she had him doing was drawing, fuck you for that.
Right.
I don't even think Seth understood what was going on. I think it was just something for him to fight with her about, to go against her.
Well, I don't like the way that he's pointing at, everybody is. Actually, somebody commented that in my comment section, like Katie allowed that to happen to Sebastian in her home. Well, why didn't Daddy of the Year Seth go get custody then? Why didn't Daddy of the Year Seth make sure he had the proper therapy? Why, you know what I mean? Like, why is all the responsibility put on Katie?
Well, since then, Katie and them were trying to let Sebastian go to Seth, and Seth said, no, let's give it another year.
Yeah.
So he had that chance if he thought that, she
They were these
allowed that
horrible-
to happen.
Right.
But also, we got to keep in mind it was another child who was doing that to Sebastian.
Right. A 13. And look, from what we heard, it may have been a cousin. It's nobody's business. But, it's not like they expected that to happen. It's not like they set it up to happen. I mean, you're blaming every parent of that when you say some dumb, uneducated shit like that.
I agree. Yeah, it's so fucked up.
Hey, Wee Frosty.
Hey everybody! Hello, hello.
Hello.
No
Hello, Wee.
pee. Hello, hello. I came up because this whole question of the therapy has troubled me since the start, because there has been a definite difference in how it's described from one party to another. We learned obviously that Seth was involved in part of that therapy, and he was engaged in parts of it and yet claimed to know nothing about it. That was all very strange. It seems to be that they have very different ideas about everything. I think if you asked all three parents to order a pizza, there would be an argument.
Mhm.
Never mind anything else. And at this point in time, I don't know how the rest of you all feel, but I feel like I could take off in these circumstances, never mind a 15-year-old kid. I feel like if I had to deal with this, this mess, I could understand it.
Absolutely agree. And look at this. It has come out that Katie has said that Seth was wrong about the child's age. The child was around the same age as Sebastian, not 13.
Right.
Wow.
That's true. Katie did say that. She said he was not 13. He was around the same age. Seth didn't. Apparently, Seth has a problem with details.
No,
and just fills in the blanks.
That's really the only thing Katie has come out and corrected, though, even though she knows a lot of what he's saying is lies. She has to pick and choose her battles right now because
Right.
she don't want to be seen as causing chaos on YouTube like Seth has.
And lose the trust of professionals.
Right. She's getting fed information and Seth's jealous about it. Well, you're the problem, dude.
Right. And let's check. Let's address this. Internet hate machine says, according to the visitation agreement with Katie, Seth is entitled to only 4 days a month in visitation. Katie gave him more than that per month. Seth wants you all to believe that Katie abandoned her toddler and ran to the army, and that he was the fantastic stay-at-home dad that was juggling fatherhood and working and all these things. Then why is it that Katie was granted primary custody? Now, I tuned into somebody last night that I knew better than to tune into, and you wouldn't believe this. Ready? They were making excuses for if Katie was 14 while dating Seth. They were making excuses for it. That back in the day, it wasn't a big deal, and 14-year-olds can give permission. And how do you know just because she was 14 that she was groomed?
Okay, well, in the Bible days, it wasn't a big deal either. But this is 2024, motherfuckers.
Right.
Well,
we don't do that.
We went through that with Summer's case too. It's amazing how in this day and age people can somehow make excuses for things that you think we've evolved past, but clearly not. Clearly not.
But
people find it acceptable.
What's ironic about that is this is the same person that was screaming from the rooftops that Don Wells should be held accountable for what he did as a teenager, right? So it was calling him a predator and everything in between. But it's not a big deal because she wants to side with Seth for the viewers.
Well, let me help you out there. There's something that predates that, and that was that same person literally telling the world for months that what Don Wells did was absolutely fine. That was before she did a whole flip reverse of no, this was terrible. It's almost like she just changes with whatever people want her to say, and that's what she's doing now. That's what she's doing.
Well, and here's the other thing. He was blaming Katie. Well, here's the other thing about that. They were saying, how do we know? How do we know? Because Seth told us, if you people would stop having clouded judgment when Seth speaks, you would hear it too.
Tunnel vision.
Right.
It's a real thing, guys. It
really is
a real thing.
And Chris is more of a groomer than Seth. Freaking leave Seth alone for real. Oh, what's going to happen if I don't? How is Chris a groomer, ma'am? Do you want to take the panel link and explain it to us?
Yeah,
I bet you don't.
Come on up and tell me, because I haven't seen any groomer activity, so come on up.
Right.
Enlighten us.
speaking of groomer activities, I'm sorry, this is off topic just for a second, but would that same person say that it's okay that Madeline Soto was allowed to sleep in the bed with Stephen Stearns and it was
Absolutely
completely
not.
acceptable by Jen? Because in the new paperwork, Jen says, oh, yeah, we all slept into bed together. And then they asked her, well, what about just her and Stephen? Oh, yeah, that was fine too. Oh,
Oh,
really?
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to go over all of that. It's unbelievable, it's despicable, and I do still believe that Jennifer will be arrested one day.
I do
I
too.
think so. I think
If
so.
at the least for child neglect,
Mhm.
at the very minimum.
She is
Mm.
culpable by her negligence, if nothing else.
So
But
she
I
was-
think there's going to be a whole lot more than that
Yep.
because there's certain statements within the paperwork that give a lot away, and I think we're going to see a whole lot more.
Oh,
And
I
that's
absolutely
frightening.
She
agree.
thought it was normal. It was, well, I guess you can't say normal. What's normal today? But she thought it was okay for her 13-year-old daughter to sleep in the bed with her boyfriend.
Yep.
Yeah. While she went and slept
Oh,
elsewhere.
hell no.
While she went and slept elsewhere.
No.
And you know what? Speaking of child neglect, I've seen somebody over in Brittany J's. Thank you, Joseph, for having my back. I have never been charged with child neglect, ever. I do not have, or child endangerment, child neglect. I have no child anything charges on me. None. So we can cut that rumor out right on this neck. I'll tell you what I do have: full custody of all my kids. Can you say the same? Anyway,
Exactly. I was gonna watch her to review her, but when
I
I
don't
seen
even
who
wanna-
she had on panel, I couldn't even listen. I didn't even bother.
Yeah.
I'll skip it.
Look,
Same.
gross.
I was going to do the same thing and then just went, nah, I see what
Yeah.
you're doing there. Nuh-uh. No. No.
Unreal.
Gross.
She is gross. All right, let's proceed to hearing what these
They
fabulous.
weren't getting communication on his behalf. Nothing to do with anything their fault. It just wasn't happening. So CP and KP might have had, well, if they chose to share this with him, they might have not shared it with him for obvious reasons, but they may have had information for a long time that we didn't have. Seth.
Of course they would. It's an investigation. You're not entitled to all the information. Thank you for responding, Stardust. So she says, I think Seth's mindset is a little slower than others and not at his fault. It happens. I've gotten slower with age and the DV caused brain issues with me. So please cut him some slack. So I don't know how your DV comes into play. And I'm sorry that you, I'm glad you're a survivor of DV. I don't know how the two correlate. Seth is not a victim of DV. While I agree that he may be a little bit slow, I don't think it has anything to do with age. And I'm not going to cut him any slack. Sorry. Not the filthy one, the other one, the Don Wells one, guys. Not.
I got it.
Yeah.
I think you want to be just really careful if you're labeling anyone as grooming. You want to make sure you've got evidence to back that up, not just because you don't like them.
Right.
I don't like you, so I'm going to say this because I've had that happen. I have literally had lunatics who have said because of my icon image, which is a little Ewok, that was orientated towards children. I'll not go into the exact way they said it, but that's what was
Stupid.
said. And I'm like, what?
That's ludicrous.
What?
That is ludicrous. And listen, when Chris met Katie, they were adults. So that whole grooming and he was controlling and come on. No, Chopper. But through GoFundMe, let's talk about all his personal Cash App drops. All right. So here he is saying the police had more information they didn't reveal, of course.
Didn't have. I can tell you that the three things I shared with you tonight, 1,000% Seth did not have that information.
That's horrible. If that's the case, it doesn't matter. If it does not matter if Seth didn't build the trust. He's the father, and if this information is correct, it is so wrong for them to put that out there to a stranger, Stephen, i.e. Stephen, than the actual parent. That's horrendous.
That's true. So we're to believe that the police revealed this information to Stephen? Am I getting this right, ladies?
Yeah, no, okay.
I mean, that's what
That
they're implying, right?
that's
Yeah.
what they're implying. Yeah,
That's exactly what they're doing.
Hmm.
something seems a little bit off with that as well. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, but Tony's 1,000% about all of this.
I'm not buying it either, and I'm wondering if anybody has called over to the police to ask them if it's true that they've revealed this information to Stephen Crabtree, but not to Seth Rogers or the public. They would have came out and made a statement if they were willing to give out that information. They would have said, we know that he was texting with Katie's mother on this day. There is dash cam footage of Katie on this day, and there's footage of Sebastian on the 26th. They would have stated that for public consumption if they were going to give it to a nobody. Would have been a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But I'll tell you something. I would bet you that after tonight, and if you guys don't think that they don't have law enforcement watching all these content creators, I learned that the easy way with Caleb. I could bet you that after tomorrow, in the spirit of keeping things where they want them, I bet that line of communication opens up.
See, and that's the thing though, like with this
Communication of keeping things where they want them, I bet that line of communication opens up.
Right, Jones? And I think I heard you.
Yeah, I bet they don't. Like, does he think coming out and putting this information out, whether it's true or false, like that's going to make them open up to Seth? No, you're Seth's PR guy.
And he literally said it in a tone like basically like they better type of tone. You know what I mean?
Shut the hell up, Tony.
Right. And Stardust says, I think the cops failed from the case from the beginning. They should have interrogated Katie in a separate room and still could, but they don't. Why? How do you know that they didn't? Do you really think the police didn't separate them and interrogate them?
Stardust, you don't know that they didn't. We don't know that information.
Right.
I think that's a wee bit of trolling going on there.
We're not privy to this. Like, it's like all these YouTube creators think that they're these armchair detectives. They think they're owed something. They don't owe you shit.
Yeah. I know we Frosty, you would like to believe it's trolling, but it's not. It's not. This is really how the Seth supporters feel. This is like the stuff they say all day, every day.
I know, it's frightening, to be honest. I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it here.
The police don't tell us everything. They're not going to come out and say, yeah, we separate them, interrogate them. Do you not have faith? I mean, again, we're talking about the local LE, FBI, TBI. Do you not have faith that not one of these organizations did their job correctly?
Right. I could get it if people were sus of like the local PD. But then you got the TBI that comes in, you got the FBI that's in, and the Secret Service. Hello. You can't have distrust in all of them.
Right.
There are good cops.
Right.
This cop certainly pulled out all the stops.
They have.
This cop that told Stefan all this is the second on this case and goes by David. Oh, I hope you're telling the truth there, Stephen. Might get yourself in some more trouble.
Who said that?
Nonsense said that. Stephen said the cop that they don't worry, they have an entire plan to call the dang cops again. This cop that told Stephen all this is the second on this case and goes by David, according to Stephen.
Well, Bullhorn Betty is calling for everybody to call up there today.
Right.
Oh, Lord.
But we've witnessed that before too, where unfortunately law enforcement gets overwhelmed by the amount of utter bullshit calls.
Right. Well, that's the
received
problem.
From YouTube and beyond, because they've witnessed something on a YouTube live. That's
Well,
not
why?
the same as having first-hand knowledge of something because somebody said something on YouTube. It's not the same thing.
Why the hell would Bullhorn Betty encourage anybody to waste police's resources by call? And she's not saying call them with tips. She's saying call them and demand they give us answers. That's what Betty was telling her audience today.
Yeah, she was. And it's like a pressure campaign. And all it's going to do if it does anything, it's gonna make them come out and deny every single thing y'all are saying. So y'all are gonna still end up with no answers.
Well, I wonder if this Steven dude's cop is buddies with Tag's police officer husband, whose BFF is the detective in charge in the case.
Who the hell's Tags?
That's the female that was in the first part of the live, in Beach's live, where she was saying that her husband is a sheriff and her husband's BFF is the detective in charge of the case. And they were sitting there having dinner and drinks while she was in this live with Tony spewing this crap.
So once again, we're supposed to believe that Chris Proudfoot paid off the TBI, the FBI, the local LE, but yet once again,
out of here.
I know, but once again, it is nothing more. I mean, once again, we're having more connections. That Seth has more connections to these police officers
than Chris.
Yeah. Seth had a friend take Sebastian for him to be able to get a GoFundMe started. I don't necessarily believe that, but I do believe that there's something really off here. My initial opinion again is just that Sebastian, look at what he was dealing with. I mean, maybe he was jealous that mom was spending so much time with Chris. Maybe Chris wasn't coming home because of the alleged CPS allegation that took place in January. And Sebastian felt like Chris was making his mom send him off to live with his dad, who he didn't want to live with. He was not comfortable there. It's not his choice to be there. He didn't want to go. And maybe that night he overheard Katie and Chris say something, or he felt jealous that he just had this great weekend with his mom and now she's on the phone with Chris for 3 hours and he couldn't handle it. He just ran out the door. I mean, it could be that simple.
Yeah. It could be that simple. My theory, my responsible theory, the only theory I will say publicly is that if it has anything to do with Seth, in my opinion, it's just that maybe there was too much leniency at Seth's with the gaming and stuff. And to me, that's where my brain goes.
Right. Well, he had him text him
too, though, but I keep them to myself.
he had him text him with the waitress, right? With the woman waitress.
Yeah, and the men that you play Call of Duty with, like, it's men, women. I mean, it's people all over the world.
And you don't know who you're talking to, and nope, not talking to my kids. Nope.
If I was the Proudfoots, I would absolutely take the fact that this woman who is now tied into Tony, who's tied into Seth, I would go to my police station first thing, like right now, and say, this woman is claiming that she is in close connection with the sheriff here, and I'd want him off my child's case.
Yeah, I would too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right,
and if this woman, this Tag, whatever she calls herself, and this Steven, if there's any iota of truth to it, absolutely they need removed from the case because they're out there running their mouths to people they shouldn't be.
Yep, and claiming to have insider source. That's not right. I mean, this is a missing child here.
And I do want to say to Stardust, like, I get it. You see the red flags in Chris. We do too. We're not saying he's necessarily a good guy or a perfect guy. Right. We see the red flags too. But we're also willing to see the red flags that Seth keeps throwing out.
Right.
Got to be willing to see it all, babe.
Right.
See, and that's the thing though, like with the Soto case, people pressured them for a press conference, right? There was no information for a long time, even prior to the actual arrest or pending charges.
We actually got information quickly. Get a Q-tip. What are you doing digging in your ears? So gross. We actually got information rather quickly in the Soto case, but they had him on day 3. They arrested him. They had what they needed. And again, we're not owed information, but at least she's trying here, I guess. I don't know. I'm being a little hard right now. Sorry.
Well, not really. You're being a lot nicer than I want to be. So carry on.
Then they came after everyone scrutinized them. They came out and they literally just gave a press conference and gave no information. But they were pressured to do that by the media or by social media, so they did it. And they had no answers for no one, but they still did it.
Is that what she's getting at? That if we just pressure these police to come out, they'll come out? Is that?
Well, isn't that what I just said? That you can put the pressure on, but you're not going to get shit from it.
Right. If they don't have information to give, if they're not willing to give the information, what's the point of even pressing them into a presser?
I can't even imagine what this police department's going through today.
Either can I. Look what somebody just wrote. Police just came in. We have a missing 11-year-old, not been in school past week, and it's already 105 outside. Can we take a moment to give some prayers for the missing 11-year-old?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Keep
Wow.
us posted, Sammy. Seth had not seen Sebastian in 6 weeks up to his disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so she's on to something.
I feel like to be ahead of the game, they can't be watching social media to see when we're going to pressure them or someone's going to pressure them. They need to be ahead of the game, even if they have no information, to pop on and give a press conference or do an update on their Facebook page or wherever they want to do, but coming directly from that source and that source only, and providing that as of right now, we don't have any more additional updates for you. But
what the fuck is she saying?
And then they'll just complain that was a nothing burger.
Just like they did in the Soto case.
Well,
People were losing their minds after that press conference. Oh, they didn't tell us nothing. It was nothing burger.
But I don't even understand anything she just said. It was like word salad to me. Maybe I tuned it out.
No, that's what it was. It was word salad. What she's essentially saying is that she wants an update, despite the fact that there is no update to give. She just wants them to come out and say something. Betty also made the same statement twice this week. Unfortunately, yes, I have had to do my own due diligence, and I hate that for me. But that's what she's been saying, and it's like, well, you literally want them to take the time away from investigating the thing to come and inform you that they have nothing to tell you.
Well, and what is she talking about? Watching social media, but being ahead of social media? Like, what is she talking about? And Stardust Angel, respectfully, you're getting on my nerves now. Okay, the good thing came out is Chris doesn't get his daughter. There's been no ruling in his child custody case, none at all. So you don't know that he doesn't get his daughter. Of course, he's a little preoccupied right now, don't you think? You're saying he shouldn't have kids in his care. Why? Because you dislike him? Okay, he didn't even want her. He didn't want her. I thought according to you all, he got rid of Sebastian so he could have her, because that makes sense. The best way to win a child custody case is to get rid of another child.
Yeah, really.
Oh my God.
Well, I got to jump down, Granny. I got an appointment, but thank you for having me out.
Of course. Thank you for coming up.
Bye, Kathy.
I hope your appointment goes well.
Bye, Kathy.
Did you guys ever think of that? Like, listen, if I want to get custody back of this kid, I'll just make this kid disappear.
Yeah.
Immediately.
It's the same as the whole, they have financial issues, so they're going to get rid of the kid who brings in the money, and that will give them money. And no, that's not how that works. You don't understand that you got to actually be in custody of the person to get the money. So how do you think that that's going to work out? It's very strange to me. Very strange.
That is it's just a stupid comment. I want to take a moment to share this really quick, if everybody, nobody should mind. So Bullhead City Police Department have a missing 11-year-old reported yesterday at 7 p.m. Bullhead City Police are actively searching for a missing child who ran away from her mother after a disagreement. At approximately 5:30 p.m., Alexandria Cuerda, age 11, was last seen in a desert area between Lee Ave and the airport. She was wearing a blue shirt with dolls on it, black sweatpants, and red Crocs. If anyone has any information on her whereabouts, please contact BHCPD at 928-763-1999.
Look at her.
What state is this?
I don't know. Is this the one Summy was talking about?
Yeah. Summy, can you tell me what state this is?
Somewhere with a desert.
Oh, I know. In the desert. It's 105 degrees right now where they're at. Oh my goodness.
My dog's snoring.
I can hear him.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Don't let Johnson lie to you like that. She had beans for breakfast. She did.
Hey, bro. You're being
so this is Arizona. Keep your eyes out.
Oof.
All right, Arizona. Oh, hey, Chris. So yesterday was when Stephen was told 3 things 100%. Right, 3 things. Yep, 100%.
1,000%, not 100, 1,000%.
1,000% by the officer that's second on the case. And this lovely woman over here, she's having dinner with the sheriff as she's on this stream because they're such close friends.
Yeah, perfectly normal. Just invite somebody over for dinner, hop onto a TikTok live and have a little chit chat. Sure.
Yeah. Yep. So the three informations were that the day before Sebastian was texting with Katie's mom, that there is dash cam footage of Sebastian, and what was the other thing? That there's footage.
He was seen, what do you mean? The things that they were talking about last night?
Yeah. Yeah.
That he was seen on camera after 12 a.m.
Okay.
And that he was texting Katie's mom the day before.
And now the police are going to have to answer to Seth because they told little random Crabtree down here. Okay, thank you, nonsense. All right, let's get it going. Remember, keep your eyes out for missing Alexandria Corta out of Arizona. All right, let's get to this.
We are currently working on the case to not only settle down social media, but also to settle down the town itself and reassure them that it's not going cold. It's not going cold. And I feel like them waiting for that push is the wrong move. That's just my personal opinion. They should be ahead of the game with that.
Well, they should be doing those. They should be giving regular updates as it is. Like, the fact of the matter is that they've just gone radio silent. And I feel this way about Caleb as well. The fact that both of those cases have gone radio silent for as long as they have, I think it's sad and it's wrong. And it makes, the best way to obviously to find both Caleb and Sebastian is to keep their name out there. And honestly, if it weren't for social media, neither of their names would still be out there. They're not in the media at all anymore. So
take a breath, my friend, take a breath.
That's how it works. Have you engaged in any other case ever? Never. It's, in a way, there is a benefit to being a missing child because more people will naturally become engaged. Good luck getting attention if you have a missing adult.
Well, and not only that, but there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missing children that do not get any attention, let alone news, social media. So breaking news, Kayla Montgomery was just released from prison. I knew she would get released. I knew she would get that sweetheart deal. This is sickening.
They had to, though, to stitch him up, but
fuck that.
I think I do not wish anybody to take it upon themselves when I say this, but I think that sometimes things just will work out on their own.
Yeah, I agree too. Absolutely agree too. Oof. All right.
If it weren't for TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, essentially they would be forgotten about because nobody else is talking about them. And that's really sad. So, they have to be pressured by us because if they're not, then that's it. Then I'm sorry, but then there's nothing. There's no one doing anything.
Right. And I know that.
Hey, Truth Not Feelings.
Good morning. Good morning, panel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Listen, I got a real quick question. I want to make sure that I'm 100% correct. Are y'all sure that this interview with the detective happened yesterday?
Well, here's what I was going to say. I was going to say, we don't know, but this live was yesterday, but we really don't know when Stephen told.
It was never said when what day it was. That was never said during the interview.
All right, so this was said, actually. Hold on. Let me get the other video up for you. He said between, he gave hours that it was between. 1 second.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right here. All right, hold on.
Come in between last night and midday today.
Between last night and midday today, which would have been yesterday. He said
night before last and yesterday, midday. Somewhere in between there.
Okay, and they said, now follow me here, please. They said that they learned those 3 pieces of information from that detective, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, everybody, I want you to walk down a path with me real quick, okay?
Yes,
Do
sir.
you
I love
remember?
walking paths with you.
Do
Should we
you
at least
remember?
get snacks? I need to
No,
know.
this is
Are
a
we
quick
bringing
path.
snacks?
This
Oh,
is a
okay.
real quick path.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen to this. Now, mind you, I want you to keep in mind I asked a very important question. When was he talking to the detective? Okay. Now, if it was between last night and whatever they were on the show, we would know that the detective isn't going to have the doors open for some random person to walk in the middle of the night. All right. When Seth decided to say that he knew about a video and it was insinuated that it was a dash cam video in the interview the night before
On Pascal, yep.
on Pascal, how did he know about that?
Great question. If it allegedly happened before this guy got the information from police.
How did Seth know about that? How did Tony know about it? Because Tony cut him off. Tony agreed to knowing about it.
That's a great question.
So do you think that they all
Fabricating
had
it.
that conversation before the Pascal interview?
Listen, I'm not saying anything. I refuse to say anything anymore. I'm only going to use these people's words from now on.
Facts.
That's the way
Okay?
to do it.
If he said between the night before and the time they're doing that show, and we use common sense about when the sheriff's department would be open for the public to come in and talk to a detective, then we know it's not possible that they would have gotten that information before that show.
Yeah, I agree.
So how did Seth and how did Tony know about the video and the dash cam?
Unless they're fabricating it to get things rolling again, to get more
No,
patent
listen to me.
opportunities.
You can't do that though. That's illegal.
We're
You
talking about
understand?
criminals, sir.
Well, that's fine, but you're also talking about, we got to use common sense. We can't just write it at that. You're also talking about someone they're trying to bring in to start a 501c3 or
Okay.
C3. So you don't want to come in and piss off the local government and the police department. So what tactical role would this be to accuse a detective on a case of giving up information if it didn't happen?
I don't know. I'm
That is interfering with a investigation. That is a crime.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? So why? I don't think they would put themselves in a position. I know people don't like them, and that's fine. But you have to think about this logically. So this only comes to 2 answers, in my opinion. One, police gave them that information, right? And that's how they got the information. Or 2, this guy did actually go in there, and the detective, for some reason, gave him information that he wasn't supposed to. And it happened the day prior, and they have their times and dates wrong. But either way, just using what they said, right?
Right. Okay.
I'm not saying that it came out early. Guys, I'm strictly going off their words.
Right.
They said that the meeting with the detective happened between this time and this time, but they came out with the information on a show before that time. I don't know what you want to do with that information, but that's what they said. So, and here's the thing. If there is video of him on the 26th, right? And it happens to be video of him maybe walking down his driveway, well, then that obviously shows he walked by himself, which goes to support he went out the front door, which goes to support that Katie didn't do anything to him.
Right.
Well,
So,
those are both leaps of information that we don't have. So,
but listen, here's the thing. Here's what's so funny. Not funny, wrong choice of words. Here's what's so ironic. The conversation about the dash cam video was already being talked about a week and a half ago behind the scenes.
It was. And
So
JLR mentioned it as well.
we already knew about that. Some people knew about that, or the suspicion of it being
yeah.
right. So then the detective in that case didn't give any information that wasn't already being circulated.
But then, are they just stating information that has been given to them by other means and trying to make it seem official by saying that it has come from law enforcement?
I mean, once again, I don't think, right? I'm just looking at the facts, people's words.
Right.
Everything that I feel like I've addressed. Now, I'll talk about theories sometimes in certain shows when it is a theory-based show, you know what I mean? Where everybody understands that no one's saying this is what's happening. These are just ideas. Let's run them through. But as far as something like this, we can only go off of people's words. Whether you trust
True.
them, don't trust them, that doesn't matter. Their words
True.
are still the same.
True, but then again, their words are also based on the believed evidence of certain things that we don't have
No,
proof of.
their words are based on their motivation.
Well,
Their
and a
words
lot
were
of other
based
things.
their motivation of whatever they feel like they're trying to get their goal to. My goal would be, let's find Sebastian and bring him home. I'm not sure what their goal is.
Right. Because you have right here Steven saying when in the video where he says the police gave him this information, he went to the store and all this, they asked what was the lead that was reported. And he claims he went to report that a witness came forward about seeing grandmother Katie the day he went missing. Like, so this was a day ago that he uploaded this claiming this information.
Internet hate machine. That is absolutely possible. Law enforcement could have given him bullshit information as well. But at least one of those things had already been rumored. You know what I mean? So it's not hard to throw a rumor in to be a fact. A detective could come out and give him, I mean, you don't even know how he presented himself. He's telling everybody he walked in there like he was a nobody. But it very well could be that he had set himself up as being a PI or talking to him on behalf of the case. We don't know any of that. We can only go off of the words that were said during the lives.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, whoever is doing dirt is going to show their true colors. There's too many eyes watching.
Well, you would think so, but again,
Listen, their job is not to win everybody over. That's what everybody needs to understand. Their job is to win enough people over that they can fulfill whatever their, you know, job they think there is, right? It's not about convincing you or me. It's about continuing to convince other people that are already believing their story.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pull those people away. You might get one or two a day that might see the light, but that in the numbers of what's affecting them, that's not their point because they have access to so many people that don't know about the case.
Yep.
And you know, whether you like it or I like it, they may very well be right. You know what I'm saying? What they're saying could be 100% right, and all of us could be crazy. It's possible. Right. So my point is as much as some of those folks believe what they believe is the same amount of passion that people believe that it's another way. So instead of having feelings and everything, that's what's been happening for the last month and a half with everyone. No disrespect to anybody, right? But we got to start using people's words.
Right, but we have been doing that though.
Yeah,
I'm not
Seth's
saying y'all
words.
haven't. Listen, I'm not saying y'all haven't. I'm just saying in general. By no means am I saying that y'all haven't.
Do you want
Wrong
to hear?
audience. Wrong audience.
Trish, do you want to hear what he had to say, like how he came across this information?
Yeah, I've seen the video. But go ahead. Yeah, I'll listen to it again.
TBI poster. I said it from the beginning. It says he was last seen on February 26th in the area of Stafford Court. I made like 37 videos about this. I knew they had fucking footage of him. I knew it.
Hi, Body.
I knew it.
Body's right. Mm-hmm. So what do you think this means? What does everybody like? So what? Let's have it. What does this mean? What do you guys think this means?
I'm telling you, I think he left on his own. I really do.
You think he left on his own?
Well, I'll tell you why I don't think that. I think that they thought that the first 72 hours, but for them to say they had a 180-degree turn after that.
Oh, that was the other break-in information. is that the police revealed to this Steven down here, this other felon, that they had they turned their opinion around after the first few days.
Okay, so that doesn't mean they didn't turn it on Seth.
Right. Seth's who
Right?
they stopped
That
speaking
just
with.
means that just means, here's the thing. I said this yesterday. Personal opinion. Nobody crucify me for this. It is what it is. It would make total sense to me that Sebastian Rogers, this young man, 15 years old, missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, ran out his front door to run away. Could have gotten 5, 10, 15 miles away.
Right.
Now, I want y'all to just think about something. Based on people's words now, whether you believe them or not, doesn't matter, okay? Now, Seth is the disciplinarian. We know that. He stated it himself with the whole giving him one more year to get his act together, right?
Yep.
We'll assume that he wouldn't have wanted to call his mom because he ran away from there and probably thought he was in a lot of trouble, hence the reason that Katie went on live and said, you're not in any trouble, right? Now, if you were to run away and you were gone, say 5, 6 hours, you didn't want to call your mom, you were scared to call your dad or didn't want to call your dad, who's the one person that has vocally told us that she was the most trusted or they were the most trusted by Sebastian?
A female?
It is a female.
Granny.
Okay, so y'all got that, right? Y'all figure that out? Okay. So you think that if he knows his dad's number by logic and he knows his mom's number by logic, and it said that him and his grandmother talked all the time and they were the closest, you would assume he would know her number. So he calls grandma, right? Grandma knows he's missing. Grandma calls Seth. Theory, guys, theory. Don't, like I said, theory. Grandma calls Seth. Well, if police look at phone records, there's nothing abnormal about grandma calling Seth on the day that her grandson's missing. See, I think this could be and it could go the same way with Chris and Katie. He might have called Chris and Katie and they came and got him. I believe, in my opinion, yes, he went out the front door and ran away. But we're at 3 months right now, right? This young man could not survive with his conditions on his own out in the wild. Okay? Without any trace, without anything. I mean, nothing. Okay, so if we're to believe he's alive, which I do, then the only thing that makes sense is that he's somewhere safe. Now, the thing that will never sit well in my stomach, and then I'm going to jump off here. The thing that will never, ever sit well in my stomach is the Fox 17 News interview that Seth did. And he was asked directly, where do you think Sebastian is? And instead of doing like a normal parent would do, which would be like, I have no effing idea, just look everywhere. Seth responded with, he's probably in a room somewhere playing a video game with his friends. They're probably keeping him away from the TV and the news so he doesn't know anybody's looking for him. And they probably don't allow him to have any internet. Now, that is a whole lot of effing description for a question that should be a very generic answer.
You're right. You're so right.
And as he says this, he's doing the Chris Watts hands on top of the head.
And in later interviews, he has said, I know where Sebastian is. I just don't have the resources. What does that mean?
I don't know. My whole point to this is if we just listen to their words, everybody's, Chris's, Katie's, Seth's, Tony's, everybody's words, then you're going to get answers. You may not like the answers. They may not go hand in hand with what you originally thought, but you'll get answers.
You're right. You're right. Which is what I'm recommending everybody do. Take off your bias, go back to the beginning and go back to what makes most sense. I'm sure there is footage of first off, them saying like Sebastian was seen in this area. That's how most Amber Alerts are. They don't put out addresses. I mean, come on. But I'm sure there is footage of him leaving that day. Why do you think the police are so confident he left on his own?
And the other thing is we have a lot of horrible people in this world. That young man, Sebastian, could have run away and then fell in the hands of a predator. That is not beyond possibility. You know, it could be that Seth and Katie and Chris, which is most likely the case, if you want me to be honest, are all completely innocent of anything that has to do with Sebastian itself.
Can I ask you a question? This was my theory, Truth, and you would know better than I. So after listening to Chloe, the private investigator, she made a statement about being afraid to go on properties that she afraid of being shot at, right?
Yeah.
So is there a chance that Sebastian in the middle of the night was going through somebody's property and they thought it was an invader, whatever, and they shot at him? And given the circumstances, they haven't come forward.
I would say there's always a possibility for anything like that when you're in Tennessee.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, possible, and that's just, I'm throwing possibility loosely. I've not
Right,
thought about
right.
that possibility. It hasn't even gone into my head at all. But is it possible that someone would think someone was trespassing? Maybe, but we're talking about someone who's extremely thin and looks like a child. You know, so I'm
Okay.
not, I have not even put any type of thought into that. But if you have a landowner that's being extremely evasive and not letting you on their property, you might explore that idea, maybe.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it's, because the way she made it, like, oh, I'm afraid of being shot at, was like, is
Oh,
it,
I'm gonna give you my opinion for sure on something that's pretty different than most people. I personally believe, based on certain things, I'll hold for a little bit on that law enforcement is or was inside of Seth's camp.
Okay, elaborate, please. What do you mean by that?
There was a whole lot of movement of a whole lot of people all at once with no definite answer. And then all of a sudden you have these leads that are dropped to Seth's people.
Okay, you're right. That
Like I
you're
said,
right.
I'm not trying to feed anything. I just, when I look at it, I go, huh.
Did you see Julie's comments towards you last night?
You know what? That I don't
even care, right?
What I don't, because here's the thing: if Julie feels like being on here, making up things about me is better source of her time than going out and doing things in Tennessee while she's looking for Sebastian, and that's on her. You know, she had enough time to talk to me that she could have asked me any questions she wanted to, and she chose not to, and instead decided to go and like laugh and call me Chris and all these other things. That's fine if that's the way your professionalism is. I thought I treated her pretty respectfully when she was in here.
I did as well.
So, but if that's how she feels like she wants to conduct herself, then I think that people are going to see that, and that's on her. I'm not going to be disrespectful to her.
It was this comment that bothered me. First off, she's saying it's harassment of a military officer, and that there's going to be more charges against Chris. But this one right here about also a few of our films have kids in them. Like, people need to stop exposing them like that. So public films.
Oh, this makes me
Right.
so mad, because now that her narrative isn't being followed in the way that she wanted it to be, she's trying to pull a whole bait and switch by basically making everyone else that would even talk about it into being some sort of predator.
Right.
And when you're having to reach that hard with your tiny little arms, something is very fucking wrong. Sorry for swearing, but it's very wrong. What's going on there? I have so
Right.
many questions that I choose not to vocalize, and yet every time that Julia pops up, she only reinforces that belief. I'm
What, she
sorry,
was
but
saying that
that's
I
my
was
personal
intimidating a
belief.
military officer?
Yeah. So
Oh.
first off, do you want to remark about the fact that you remembered that the dog was off leash, but not the damn weather?
Well, I didn't say off leash. I said long leash, first
Long
of all.
leash.
And I told her, if you go back and listen to our conversation, I said, I'm assuming, okay? And the reason I'm assuming is based on the way that the officer said that he took off and jumped in the water, and there had to be enough lead line from where they were standing for him to be able to jump into the water and not choke himself.
Right.
That was my assumption, right? Now she's asking me a bunch of details about a dog search, and in my opinion, I would be forced to ask, "Excuse me, ma'am, why is the dog handler asking me about the police dog search?"
While she's in this,
Bingo.
while she's in the same state claiming to offer her services. So she did. She got the whole chat worked up saying that she's being harassed and stalked, that you are without a doubt Chris Proudfoot, and that right here is her for him and all those people is harassment of a federal officer. If they keep dragging my name through the mud, congratulations, there's an extra charge.
Well,
No,
good.
let me help you
Hold on,
out, Julia.
no. Let me say something real quick. Listen, Julia, I tell you what. You go ahead and let me know who your attorney is, and I'll have my attorney get in touch with your attorney, and we will let them discuss what slander and defamation is.
Amen.
And then after that, maybe you would like to have a conversation about it, because you can do whatever you want to. If you feel like that's how you want to handle yourself, I fully welcome you to let me know who your attorney is, and I'll let our attorneys have a conversation. No worries.
Right, because quite frankly, accusing you of being Chris Proudfoot it would be harassment and libel. Like, she's the one in the wrong here,
Like
inciting
I
all this
said,
hate.
Julie, if you would like to get in touch with me and let me know who your attorney is, then we can have that conversation. Otherwise, I'll have a conversation with my attorney today, Miss Julie, and we'll see, how attorneys want to handle it, because I'm not going to come at you on social media disrespectfully. I have no reason to. I asked you very direct questions, respectfully, about how you felt about a dog search the police did, point blank and period. And it's all on recording. So,
Right.
You are making defamatory comments about me and who I am and who I'm not, and that's on you. But I would expect a military police officer in the military would know that making comments like that on a public platform is pretty dangerous as far as legally.
And again, she's supposed to be in it for Sebastian. She whatever, depending what chat she's in, is depending what remarks she makes. In here, she says she's not biased, whatever. Chris was very nice to her, but over in these chats, she says this dumb shit. She should have taken the encouragement we all gave her, and this comment on the screen is the most ironic one of all. But the problem is, I'm a captain in the Army, and any drama causes an immediate investigation, and it could severely impact my career. Her career should be impacted at this point, because you've done nothing but cause unnecessary drama and the investigation of a missing child.
Well, I don't agree. I mean, respectfully, I don't agree anything should happen with her career or anything like that. I think there's a lot of emotions involved in this case. And I think,
You're right. You're right.
I think that a lot of people are invested in this, not only financially, if she's here on her own dime with her own dogs. Listen, I'm not mad at the woman. I just want her to understand that asking questions is not any type of aggression. And
I'm mad at her.
I wasn't asking her any questions based on what she does. I was asking her what her opinion was on the tracking immediately after he went missing, and then law enforcement saying it wasn't a valid hit. That would be a normal set of questions you would ask an expert dog handler.
Right. And not only that, but right, you were asking her for her expertise. You were asking her opinion as the expert. And I agree. I mean, it shouldn't be impacted, but the fact that she's doing this while saying it could be impacted tells me a lot about her. She's like blaming everybody else for what's going on. Jules, you're the one putting yourself in these positions. You were nothing but respectful to her, truth, not feelings. Now she has the whole internet coming over here saying, that's Chris, that's Chris. Julie knows for sure it's Chris. Shut up.
I mean, that's fine. Listen, if that's what people want to think, that's fine. I'm not here to win people's friendship, followers, none of that. Right? I don't have a YouTube page. I don't have a TikTok. I don't have none of that.
You didn't even want to advertise it.
So, but that's the thing. That's not why I'm here with my opinion. I'm here with my opinion because it's my hometown, my home state, and it's a 15-year-old young man that needs advocates in his corner.
Right.
This is what concerns me, because you have people on other sides that say, well, when you come after these professionals, you're taken away from a child. Well, it goes on the other side, because you don't know what I do for a living. You don't know if I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like it's kind of disrespectful, but she could have been having a bad day. She could be under a lot of stress, all of those things. I just feel like it may be her time better served doing something else other than trying to pay attention to me.
I couldn't agree more. 5 wives later. Okay, he's military. Unfortunately, there is a high divorce rate when it comes to military, but that's okay. Having the credentials, right? Yeah. So what do you think about that? When it comes to this guy and his new, three new information was dropped through this random guy, through the police. What do you think about the fact that they're saying Seth was unaware of any of this and the police won't talk to Seth?
I mean, honestly, I can't have an opinion because law enforcement hasn't said anything. Once again, I can only go off their words. If it is correct that he interviewed the detective and the detective told him this stuff yesterday, but Seth and Tony talked about it the night before, I don't. What am I supposed to do as a logical person?
Right. Very fair. Yep.
So that's all I can.
Yep, that is
She said, "How
true.
do I know about the shoe prints near the pond?" The radio dispatch between the sheriff's department and the officers searching. What? What? I mean, I don't. What? I don't even understand how that's a normal question at this point in this case.
That's what I mean. Like she's so focused on the fact that you must be Chris because you knew these details, but you didn't know the weather. We don't think Chris knew the weather of that day.
Why would I need to know the weather other than did the dogs check? Could they have lost the scent in the weather?
Right.
So
he's not. He's on there arguing.
There were many statements she could have made that would have given a professional manner and an ability to remove herself from giving statements on things that she wasn't part of. That could have been done very easily, and for somebody who's a captain not to have that ability, that was odd to me.
in my opinion, I think it's irresponsible for someone who has an obvious successful military career to come out here and get into a verbal spat with a civilian when my only recourse would be to not contact civilian law enforcement because she's not civilian. You understand what I'm saying? So you immediately take it to a whole different level unnecessarily. So I just respectfully ask Julie, if you hear this or see this, either stop with the BS or get in touch with me and we can talk like grown adults respectfully.
There you go. She can record your phone call as well.
That's fine because, like I said, I for what? Like, there's a whole lot of investigating of people not involved in the case. That's weird.
Right. Isn't it? But the people that do need an extra eye on them, the people that people should be, paying attention to, they don't. It's just, yeah. Right. She doesn't mind exploiting Sebastian, but don't you dare, talk about her production company and the videos that were made because there's children in them. It doesn't make sense.
Wait, so here's the deal. So that's a real messed up line to use. Okay, I will say that. When she was in your chat, I made it very clear to her that I wasn't attacking her. That I was questioning the whole case and that her brick was also another brick to go on the house, right?
Yes.
So those are nothing about that's threatening. And I even told her multiple times, you could be doing everything the right way, but you have to understand how other people are seeing it. If you would just acknowledge that you could understand why people are weary, right, when they start connecting dots, like I said before, it could be nothing. But for you to get so defensive, it feels really, uneasy that you're getting defensive over me asking you questions about a dog handling situation that you weren't even involved in.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do when someone questions the dog handling you actually do?
You're right. I mean, she was highly bothered thinking people didn't believe her credentials because she was associated with Stephanie, who was not credentialed. But she said that you blasted her production company. Blasted.
Yeah. See, that's called, it's on the internet. It's is
dramatic.
A website.
Wait, she also said that Chris and Katie looking at her LinkedIn was harassment and stalking. So this is what we're dealing with.
Once again, it is on the internet. It is public. Like you came into something that is all over. I don't know.
Bingo. She's inserting themselves into their personal private life, and they're not allowed to look into who she is through a public site. Yeah. I thought she was
Listen, on top of that, Julie, let's just be honest. How many people did I push to your movie?
You're right. I watched it. I thought it was actually pretty well. The Friday
Right?
the 13th.
It is pretty good, right? So, I even said it's a good movie. So you want people. Wow. Anyway, I'm not going to let it steal my joy. And I'll tell you what would bring me even more joy is if Sebastian is brought home today. Anything less than that will end in prayers this evening. I hope nothing but blessings on those that have right intentions. And I hope that those who have the wrong intentions will surely leave the situation.
Amen. Absolutely couldn't agree more.
And if that is threatening or makes you feel uncomfortable, then I would suggest contacting your insurance company for a good list of psychiatrists.
She was spamming the chat, and she just kept wanting it all about her. She did the same thing in here as well.
I'm not even
when
going to go after her about that. I feel like she feels like she's doing what's right. Okay. I can't fault her for that.
Oh, you're so respectful.
I'm not going to fault a woman who is defending what she put a lot of time and effort in. However, the direction that she's choosing to come at me, I feel like is a completely irrational position. And I would surely hope that she backtracks on that, both publicly and directly towards me. Because if you're going to try to smear me publicly, you also should clear my name publicly.
Well, I said the same thing when it came to Chris, because she was over on other channels saying Chris was a dick to her. But then on mine, she said Chris was really nice to her and they had a great conversation. So it depends what chat she's in, unfortunately. And you are giving her way too much credit, but speaks to your character. So good on you.
That sort of weird flip-flopping attitude that I find very odd. Again, personally, that's nothing to do with anybody else. I have noticed that multiple times. And whenever you can't stick to your own word, your very own words that you've committed to, then it makes me question your character. That's my perception of who someone else is, because that's how we all form a judgment. She has given us a perception of who she is by her actions. It's that simple.
Well, I'll just say one last time, because I think that we try to attack people way too much. Look at the facts, listen to people's words, and then you build a hypothesis. Once you have two things that throw that hypothesis out, then leave that theory and work on something else. The end of the day, the goal is to bring Sebastian home, not for me to get in a pissing contest with someone, not for any of us to get in a pissing contest with anybody. Because at the end of the day, that just means you're here for clicks and baits and money and all that. And I don't care about any of that. I want Sebastian to come home to whoever law enforcement feels like he needs to be with.
I hope Sebastian feels comfortable coming home after all of this.
Well, we just hope that Sebastian, doesn't see this. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
That's my prayer. At the end of the day, all of this BS, I'm trying to watch my language, all of this BS is heartless. And if the point behind all of this is to have heart and find a young man, Sebastian Rogers, then that's what we should be doing. Why is all the other stuff? It's just stop it. And I understand we have to go over theories. I understand we have to go over evidence. But I think there's a place and a point where there are 1,100 missing children in Tennessee right now. If we want to concentrate on Tennessee, let's keep Sebastian's flame alive by shining light on some of these other cases while law enforcement does what they do, respectfully. Because there are a lot of children and a lot of parents that are going to sleep at night without each other. And if we took a little bit of this time, just a little bit of it, and picked one case, two cases between everybody within this community, maybe with Sebastian's light, we can bring another kid home as well.
That sounds amazing, but unfortunately, people say they want that, but they don't tune in. People don't tune in. It's unfortunate that this type of drama is what's keeping Sebastian's name out there. It's so sad. And to me, to be honest, is this type of drama is likely the reason Sebastian ran out to begin with. It's horrible.
Well, I agree. I'm going to jump off here, but once again, prayers to Seth. May your spirit lead you in the direction that you feel is necessary. Prayers to Chris, same, that your spirit leads you to truth, whatever that might be. Katie, same thing. I just pray that whoever, if there is somebody in this mix, feels enough weight on their heart that it's time to talk. And if it's not them, then I pray peace upon their heart for the anger that most of these people on these interwebs have, because it's got to take a lot to be able to stay quiet on all three people. You know what I mean? Like, I have to give Seth grace too, because I think that Seth is a very smart individual, but I also think Seth may have autism himself. And if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, you must change the direction in how you treat Seth, even if you don't like it, because you can't preach Sebastian deserves better because of his autism and things like that, and then not take that into consideration with his own family members, because we know it is hereditary. So I'm just getting to a point, maybe it's just me personally, but I'm getting to a point that I really am having a heavy heart over this. And I haven't had that throughout this whole case. And that scares me a little bit.
I think that's a great thing. For me, I feel like Seth is being taken advantage of, and I hope he heeds the warnings of many around him that this is not the direction to take this. Get back to the professionals, get back to what matters, and get back to what's going to help. These people are not here to help.
I agree 110%.
No, we don't have an actual diagnosis for Seth. No.
No, but guys, I am autistic, high functioning myself, and I can see it. Just like if you have something, you can see it in other people, and it's not a disrespect thing. I think it explains a lot. I think it explains his need for being in control. He obviously has oppositional defiance disorder. That's fine. I do as well. You know what I mean? These are things that we all have in our families and in our lives. So let's treat these people the same way you would treat your brother that may have it, or your sister, or your mother, or whatever. Does that make sense?
It
Right,
does.
but it's dangerous also to go around, even though that might be your opinion, you can't just go around throwing a diagnosis around without any clinical basis. Your
No, but
opinion is your opinion,
I can use
you know.
circumstantial evidence I've learned in this case.
Right,
He
that's
did
your opinion, though.
right. I'm not a doctor, but the point
Correct.
behind it is that, okay, so if Seth's not, then his mom has to be. We know it's one generational over for the most part. So my point is, it's in his family line. All I'm saying is, if we back up a little bit and show a little bit more compassion to everybody, Chris, Katie, Seth, then maybe people will start working together. At the end of
That's
the day,
fair.
we want to bring Sebastian home. Who cares who hates who? And if we stop fueling it, maybe they will start talking.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I think that's fantastic. Seth makes it hard for me personally, but I
I
understand the
agree. I
sentiments.
agree. I agree. Right. But Seth is also persuaded by the population. You have seen this. I have seen this. We have seen this.
Mhm.
So if the population backs away from the BS and starts saying, Seth, stop. Seth, it's starting to happen. If you notice, it's starting to happen. Right?
Right.
Go into some of these other lives that were normally pro Seth, anti Katie and Chris, and you're starting to see more people kind of coming around. But it's got to be done with respect, because if we go at Seth the same way that they went at Chris and Katie, then we're not going to win anybody over.
Now, I agree with that, and I've taken that approach, to be honest. I have people that come into chat and they're, anti-Chris and all that, and I'm respectful to them. I have tuned into other creators that are, like, really disparaging Seth in a very immature, petty way, in my opinion, which chases out people. So I understand what you're saying there. If we kind of calm it down a little bit, stop with the personal attacks, more people are likely to listen. In my chat alone, I've seen several people come in and say, "You've opened my eyes. Thank you." So I do agree with that sentiment to not be as drama filled and nasty and vile as some of these people are towards the Proudfoots. I agree.
And that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate being on the panel. And like I said, blessings to everybody. Bring Sebastian home. I hope he's in a room somewhere playing video games. That's what I hope.
I do as well. Are you not to give out too much information, but are you planning on being there this weekend? I know you're local enough.
I think that anybody and everybody that wants to come out and support Sebastian, not Katie, not Chris,
Not Seth.
Not Seth, but Sebastian should most definitely grab their wife, grab their kids, grab their neighbor, and go and be a part of putting Sebastian's name out there greater. I still haven't seen a huge turnout for any of these vigils, and it's time that we put our money where our mouth is, get in our cars if you can, and go there. Some of us have work, others of us don't. If you can't, that's fine, but just if not on the day that the visual is, everybody just love a little bit,
Do something kind for your neighbors, for a
or
stranger.
don't come on here and bash either side for one effing day.
That I will agree to that. I think that would be a fantastic way to honor Sebastian.
Why don't we call it a stand down day? Something. Let's
peace
stop
day.
with all of it. It's got to stop.
Peace for Sebastian Day. Absolutely.
Yes. I agree. And then the ones that don't abide by that, then they're just telling their true colors. The people who are truly here for Sebastian will abide by it that day.
Yeah, we'll see.
Every creator go live and have on rotation every picture of Sebastian you have from the beginning of the day to the end.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Just on rotation.
Or if every creator, whether we like each other or not, would agree to on that day post at least a post with Sebastian's face and information, that I think that would be fantastic as well. Let's flood this YouTube sector with photos of Sebastian.
Something in the positive. There's been enough negative. Isn't everybody tired of waking up every day, respectfully, not towards your show, just in general, and just seeing trash constantly? Because I am. I've been watching shows that haven't even put Sebastian's picture up one time during the entire show.
Mm-hmm. Some don't even mention his name.
Seth, if you're listening to this, brother, do me a favor. Get your team to get you the biggest picture of Sebastian you can and put it behind you when you do these lives, please.
I said that and somebody cursed me out for it.
No, I mean, someone donate it to him. Somebody's got to be on here that works at a print shop or isn't worried about going online and spending a little bit of money. Send it to him instead of being part of the problem of attacking him, even if we don't like him, right?
Right.
Jesus taught with love, and if you don't believe in Jesus, Muhammad taught with love, and if you don't believe in Muhammad, the Torah talks about love.
Love thy enemy.
So, and he's not my enemy. You know what I mean? I don't know Seth. I don't hate Seth. I think Seth has done some shady things, true enough, but to say he's my enemy or anything like that, that would be so far.
Right.
And he's not any of y'all's enemies. The enemy is whatever the darkness is surrounded by Sebastian's disappearance, but we don't know who that is.
Right.
So just keep running ideas, guys. Try to step away for a couple of times of thinking about ideas that don't involve the parents, right?
I don't think they're involved.
I don't either. I really don't. But when I say that the after effect could be a possibility as far as them being contacted or somebody being contacted, it's very well that somebody was contacted and Seth, Chris, and Katie don't know about it.
Right. Police don't reveal everything. They just don't.
So I respect everybody in here, opinion or otherwise. Y'all have a blessed day. I will talk to y'all later. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you. Well, I'm not religious, so this commenter over here says Seth isn't even in a conversation as suspect. Police know there's only two things that could have happened, and Sebastian didn't run away. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Not one of the parents have been cleared as suspects. No, he hasn't. I haven't seen him search at all. You're part of the problem, Nocturnal True Crime Cafe. Tell me where he has searched, especially more in one day. You don't know what the Proud Folks are doing. Just because they're not recording themselves or they're not here screaming what they're doing doesn't mean they're not doing anything. They may be working just as hard as Seth. You don't know. Not everybody advertises everything. That's like saying other parents who have missing children because they're not on social media recording themselves searching, that they're not searching. The police, I think the fact that the police have come out and said they don't suspect foul play and that they have said Sebastian left out the front door is more than enough to say that they likely do have footage of Sebastian that day going out the front door on his own. If not, it would be a criminal investigation. There would be name suspects instead of, nobody's cleared.
Oh, you want to highlight that little comment, Granny?
Yeah, I know. They're funny. They're funny.
Let me help you.
And they're
on
named the
your
True
note,
Crime
True Crime.
Cafe, right? You must be eating your own bullshit at that cafe. I'll tell you that.
The same as anyone else in here eating their words, the same applies to you. So I hope that you're also ready. Because we all have opinions, we all have ideas, and those ideas should evolve over time with the information that we're provided. It should. But the point is, we have very little information to be basing any of this on. This is all mostly opinion and speculation. That's where we are right now. And for you to be out there making definitive statements, that's very dangerous. Good luck.
Well, especially when they're saying things like Seth is even in conversation. Yes, he is. Like, so you don't even have the correct information as you're telling other people they had for true crime, low IQ. Go show me where the police have cleared. I mean, they won't even speak to Seth anymore. So come on. If he wasn't a suspect, and again, I'm saying none of the parents are literally labeled suspects. They've all been working with police. They believe no foul play. So your idea that Chris and Katie are guilty is just that, likely based off hate. No, none of them can do that. Just like none of them came out and apologized that Chris didn't buy a motorcycle, that none of them come out and correct their misinformation on a daily. They still run with rumors that was the neighbor and that, truth up here was Chris. And it's just so far gone at this point. And some of these people are just too hateful towards the Proudfoots to see anything differently. True evidence that Chris I think we all would be driving that freaking train full speed. Right.
Well, to add to that comment, we haven't got evidence of anything right now. We have literally evidence of nothing. And that's where it's very unfortunate, because people will still be people at that point, and they will fill in the blanks themselves, as we've seen. Some go completely full speed with that and will do the most. Others will, be a little bit more reluctant, but we have evidence of nothing.
Right. And every time somebody comes out here and they do speak sense, you're right. They end up trying to get these people attacked, but then they're the first ones to cry that they're being attacked. And I'm so tired of the immaturity of like, oh, nobody's calling out this person. Like you're 5 years old. Grow up. You're a grown-ass woman. You're a supposed true crime channel. Stop with the whole like pointing out other people and crying that nobody's calling them out. You call them out. Put on your big girl panties and call me out yourself. If you have a problem with what I stated, and then I'll turn around and show you where Seth himself stated it. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and show you guys this really quick. Found this to be very interesting. So a lot of people are saying, well, how do you know that Katie had abortions? And how do you know? Well, I'll show you right here.
So not only do we have this receipt here.
Sebastian was the only child that Katie did an abortive mind. This is from Seth Rogers himself. Okay.
But we also have his interview where he says that Sebastian was the first to make the team.
And an interview with our favorite Jen Koffendorfer at 1307, he states Sebastian was the first to make it to term, meaning she was pregnant prior to Sebastian, although he couldn't tell you what his son weighed at birth. Okay, so right there is how I came to the conclusion that if Katie gave birth to Sebastian at 18 years old, then she had previous pregnancies. Okay, because Seth himself has told us. I'm sorry you people don't like to see all of this. I'm sorry you people don't want to look at all of this because you're biased and it benefits you to coddle Seth and have him potentially be on your panels. But this is the math of the fact. Okay, this isn't YouTube math. We're not making this up. This is math. And this is coming from Seth himself has stated all of this.
And he has indicated on multiple occasions that Sebastian was not their first child. It was only the first child to make it to term. And this indicates multiple abortions, not just one, but multiple. Most likely because she was way too young to be having a baby.
So it just so happens when she turns 18, they keep that baby to full term and all the others, listen, take it for how you want. I'm just telling you. She was 19 for 4 months when Sebastian was born. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Fletcher, for being a member.
Now, I have a couple of questions for Seth. Like, one, how did he meet Katie at 12? I'm really curious as to who was raising Katie after 12. Did Seth's mom, Robin, raise Katie? You know, I'm really, Seth said that the wedding night, he had to leave the house. He could.
I'll be honest with you, Thor. I do think it's our business. I think when people are out here saying that Katie's childhood and her teenage years and what she went through with her mother is pertinent to this case, then I do think the fact of what she went through with Seth is also. And that's unfortunate. Now, should Seth have told us all of this? No. But he himself did. So now it becomes part of the discussion and it does become relevant. I don't like it. I think it's icky. I think it's gross. But I think the fact that creators are intentionally ignoring this huge factor because it doesn't go in their favor of who they want to favor is also a huge problem.
It also gives you a bit of insight into Seth because he obviously shared that information as some sort of dig or personal slight upon Katie's character of some description, whatever way you want to term it. When really it tells you a lot about him.
It
He
does.
didn't think it was, but it tells you a lot. And the fact that he was so careless as to state that the way that he did, where he did, and why he did it, it all tells you a whole lot. And again, I have a lot of compassion for the man, but when you're getting careless as to put things like that, I don't know. That's dangerous. That wasn't his business to be putting out there.
Well, and my thing is that he put it out like you said, and is how I interpret it. He put it out to make Katie appear some type of way, in my opinion. He put it out as a negative light on Katie with zero awareness, self-awareness, that it also made him look horrible. He was a full grown ass man.
Right? Who was getting her pregnant, Seth?
Right. Who was, and he, even pointing out that it is nobody's business that Katie, didn't have full-term. It was nobody's business. It was nobody's business what Sebastian experienced. It was nobody's business what behaviors were being displayed. It did nothing but add in a bunch of layers again that go in front of finding Sebastian. They don't help.
Yeah, it's almost a dog whistle of judgment. Put that out, and that will make certain people who have a very strong negative opinion of abortion believe
Yeah.
a certain kind of way. And
Right.
that was the way I took it anyway.
And I heard people making excuses. Well, how do we know she was groomed? How do we know she was forced? How do you know because of her age? Is that good enough? And you're right, self-aware. That may be part of the reason why people believe he may be autistic himself. I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm not a medical, I don't know anything about autism, if I'm being honest, other than the general basics. But I do know that when Seth is on a daytime show, he's well more professional. When they get him on a nighttime show, that's when he kind of lets loose into all of this. Right. You add all of this in. You add in all of this about him and then add that in. I completely agree. Let's see what else she says.
Didn't stay at the house because you can't stay with the bride, which indicated that they were living together before they got married. Now, I'm really curious how a 22-year-old meets a 12-year-old and befriends her. Where did they meet at? How did he know her? I heard that allegedly Seth was adopted as well. Is Robin and her husband, are they adopters? Is that what they do, is adopt children? Did they adopt Katie and that's how Seth met Katie? Because they were both Robin's adopted children. Robin said that everybody talking all this drama is really hurting her family. Does she consider Katie part of her family because she raised Katie and Katie was one of her adopted children? I don't know. These are all questions that I have. And the interviews and the things that people are saying are making me think that Seth's parents were also Katie's parents. Like the fact that Seth's, adopted father walked Katie down the aisle, or stepfather, or whatever he was, walked Katie down the aisle.
Now that's a good point. He did say his father walked Katie down the aisle. But I don't know. I heard that she just grew up on the same street as grown-ass Seth. There's not one Seth and Katie's age and grooming to come in as a problem. These same people are over Micah getting groomed by JP, which they cover. You're right. They bring up the age difference with Micah and JP all the time. They bring up that he met her when she was a teenager, that she was a babysitter for him. You're right, but they don't want to bring it up here. Yeah, I agree. The mere fact that a 22-year-old could ever go for, well, and here's the other argument is that there's no proof that they had relations at 12. And that is true. There is no proof they had relations at 12. But there is proof, according to Seth himself, that she had prior pregnancies that she did not go full term with prior to having Sebastian. And if you do the math at the age of pregnancy with Sebastian, well, what is one to think? Sorry, people don't like it, but it's an ugly fact that does play into this case, in my opinion. As Sebastian's grandmother, Katie, his mother's her family either way. I agree that whole like hurt in my family. I could see how that could mean. Yeah, no proof at 12, and I pray there's never any proof at 12. But people getting angry at me for pointing out these facts. I'm not making up facts. I'm telling you actual facts. These are facts. Seth himself said he met her at 12. Seth himself is 9.5 years older than Katie. Seth himself said that Katie went to the army at 19. Seth himself said that he was left to be a full-time father to Sebastian, which means Katie gave birth prior to the age of 19. This is all math. That's true.
Before Sebastian was born, the whole living in different states and stuff thing as well, that is also interesting to me because it suggests a pattern of implied behaviors. I'll put it like that there was maybe just a whole lot going on there. Maybe.
Right. I agree. And if you look at what Charlotte says, he took advantage of a girl that had a terrible life. We do know that Katie lived a very traumatic life as a child. She did. Again, this is due to the math. I mean, this is due to what we know because of Seth and his team of people. They gave us this information. It sucks. It's sad. It's horrendous. Nobody likes to think about it. But if we are going to talk about, everybody dug into Chris and his ex-wives and they had Nina on, everybody dug into Katie and found out about her mother and all that. Nobody likes to look into Seth, but be across the board. Let's be fair here. He himself told us this information. Why are we, ignoring it?
And the saddest thing of all is that for both Katie and Seth, that the one person that they will have had in the world that will love them more than anything else in life itself is now missing from their lives.
Yeah.
On top of all of that other stuff, now that one person is gone.
It's so true. Not to put all, so that was the other thing people were saying. Some of the natives of West Virginia, their culture is a bit different. Fair enough, but the laws aren't, right? So fair enough, but the laws aren't. And here's the other thing I heard people saying: if Katie left and went into the army at 19, then she must not have had a motherly bond with Sebastian. That she didn't have time to grow a bond with him. That is so ridiculous. That's like saying, because unfortunately here in the great, our great country, we parents, they really don't get as much maternity leave as others. They're if any mother goes back to work, they didn't bond with their child. Is that what we're saying here?
Well, the other thing is that with Sebastian's very rare chromosomal issue that he will have been diagnosed with at a very young age, very, very early on. Is there not a possibility that joining something like the services would be a route to guaranteed health provision?
Well, that's why she did it. He said, yeah, Seth himself said it. Welcome, J-Dub. Thank you. At what age do they allow abortions back then, at least? I don't think I think as long as you have an adult signature, which would have been Seth's, you can get an abortion.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know differently? I'll look it up.
No, that would be, you're more likely to be given an abortion because you are medically unable to carry to term, and that would be more prevalent the younger that you are, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Sad facts of life we don't want to acknowledge, but they're there.
Right. Well, they banned abortion. We know that June of 22. I don't know, but like I said, most places, as so long as you have parental permission. I don't know what it was 20 years ago. I don't see why Seth would lie about that. I don't know. We do not need that Katie went into the Navy, and when you go to work, you still bond at night. When you go to boot camp, you're sequestered 3 months, no bond there. Nina, woman. I'm sorry, what?
Well, it surely wouldn't one of the biggest acts of love for your child be making sure that they're going to be provided for, even when you know that that would cause you significant pain and loss, not being able to spend every moment with them, just doing a regular civilian job. But to go into the services where you know that they can be cared for, that's an amazing thing to me. I don't know why people aren't recognizing that. She chose a huge moment of service, not just to her country, but to her family, to her
Right.
child.
And thank you so much, Christine, for posting that. And thank you to those who are asking. You know what else drives me nuts about that? If we go and we start saying things like that, like a mother who goes into the services doesn't bond with their child, or you just, first off, you can't even say that. You can't. There are mothers who immediately go back to work. There are mothers who I feel like it's such a I don't know. I just don't like it. You can't say that. We can look at photos of Katie with, again, she was granted primary custody. Does anybody take that into account? I believe Seth is seeking self-validation and maybe get revenge on mom for past relationship issues. Seems he's taking advantage of the situation and finally get a win. I couldn't agree more. I think he's enjoying it. Thank you, LA. Welcome. Thank you for becoming a member. Oh, thank you so much, Nursery. Thank you, guys. Robert says, before Roe v. Wade was overturned by Supreme Court, clinics were doing them at very young ages. I've known people who had terminated pregnancy at the age of 14 to 16 years old. What's that?
Yeah, the youngest I know of is a bit earlier than that, but I'm aware that I'm obviously not in the States as well. And it's one of the things that people should consider whenever we talk about a very hot button issue, which is abortion. I know that this is not the time and the place, but to consider such things, because if only you realized, if only
Yeah.
it would make you question a whole lot.
You know what? And let's talk about this way. So I heard the same person that was saying, who cares that Katie was 14 and all this weird stuff pertaining to that. They also brought this up. They brought up the divorce papers, right? Now, here's another misconception people have. I heard this person first say the divorce papers are written by Katie and they don't have to be factual. No, but in order, and then they mentioned that she had a restraining order, and you can write whatever you want on a restraining order. Sure, you can, but you'd be an idiot to do so because you have to prove what you have written. Okay. So you can write whatever you want. And a judge can also say, do you have proof for this? And if you don't, then you're pretty screwed. At the end of the day, Katie came back from the services and she received primary custody of Sebastian, despite the fact that Seth was an alleged stay-at-home father, right? Mr. Mom. And then to top it off, Seth was only granted to see Sebastian 4 days out of a month. So I don't understand where you people are coming from trying to make Katie look like this horrible mother, or that she lied on these documents, or that her CPS reports are bullshit when you see bruising of Sebastian's neck on the photos. And if you're going to nitpick and just, then do it around the board, do it across the board. Then it doesn't matter anything about Chris and Katie either. Thank you, SS. I appreciate you. Thank you. She was a young girl who struggled as a teenager. How about we be thankful that Katie got herself together and went into Army to get her child medical instead of disparaging her, because she could have became another statistic. She could have very easily allowed her trauma from her childhood to take over everything, and she could have just been, and instead she picked herself up for the betterment of her son to give him a better life.
Right? That's dedication. That's that very motherly or parental spirit that we would want to see in anybody. That's where it doesn't make sense to me that people aren't seeing that.
Well, most importantly, why don't people ask this? Why don't they say, well, wait a minute. If Seth is such a man's man and he's such an upstanding man, and he's such a great provider and a great father, why didn't he get off his ass and make sure his son had medical? That way, Katie, at her young age of 19 years old, didn't have to leave her first child and could have been what he called what did he call it when he said the picture perfect family? The mother stays home and the father goes to work. Well, why didn't you make that come true for your family then, Seth? All his comments over on Coffindorfer's about, oh, the man should go to work and the wife should stay home and blah, blah, blah. Then why didn't you make that possible so Katie didn't have to do what she did?
Right.
The typical nuclear family. That's what he called it. But he didn't provide that. But yeah, he's getting all the praise and all the kudos, right? The great father that's sitting on panels and he's the only father looking and the only parent looking and all that crap. It's so unfair. I personally thank Katie for her services. I think it is commendable that she was willing to sacrifice not only her time with her child, but quite frankly, her life, not just for her son, but for our country. I think is commendable. I don't think people should be knocking her for it. It's meaningful. Right, you're right, Demon. People will say Nina's divorce records are factual and meaningful, but Katie's aren't.
Right. Well, with divorce records or an application for a TRO, any of the things, you swear to them as being true. You may not be able to prove every single sentence thereof, but you're swearing to it as your testimony to a court of law. So for people to be like, well, no, we can't prove this. Of course you can't. But that's why we have a system for checking the veracity of a statement. There's
right.
a whole system these things go through. It's not just like you said it, so you get it.
Right. And sorry that I lost you, Amanda. I don't know which part, but sorry. And then you add in the fact, like said here, Katie went from being a victim of a mother to a victim of her ex-husband. Well, yeah, some will argue she's not a victim of Seth's, and now she's a victim of this tragedy. Whether you think she's guilty or not, that she has not been stated guilty by law. So would I, because he said he was a stay-at-home father, and then he was a full-time worker at the same time. It was quite impressive.
The fact that he was so eager to flaunt his attachment to law enforcement in some way at the start, and now obviously that has gone pretty silent
Yeah.
as we've gone along, is curious to me. There's a whole lot of curious.
Well, and like this person says here, Stella says that Katie was in the Navy while Seth sat at home. Seth wouldn't even work. He checked LinkedIn in the beginning. Seth had 3 jobs. He's been with the police department for 14 months. The job before that, 7 months. Okay. Add in the fact that after Katie decided to get a divorce from him, he was suddenly homeless. And he suddenly wasn't able to be there. His own words. He stated when Sebastian found out that he knew what Sebastian had experienced, Sebastian said to him something about him knowing. He said, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you, but I had to work on myself. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, Seth has been very selfish in his parenting and his husband duties. Just my opinion. That was a weird statement to make.
Maybe that's where some of his perceived anger or frustration is being taken out on, because rather than admitting the fact that he's made some mistakes in judgment, shall we say, himself, that it's easier to blame somebody else.
He does always blame somebody else, in my opinion. Always.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole interview with Jennifer Coffindorfer, if you listen to it, everything he said was negative. It was supposed to be this lovely, interview where people got to learn a little more about Sebastian and get to know Sebastian, put the focus back on him. And it wasn't, in my opinion. Instead, we got to hear how poor Seth had a headache on his wedding night, how poor Seth, struggled as a single father, how poor Seth missed his first steps, and how poor Seth, it was all about him. And Sebastian's first word was a curse word, and then it was dad, and all this. It was very bizarre.
It was bizarre, and it was mostly about Seth rather than Sebastian. It was odd.
It was all negative undertone to it all. Yeah, He didn't know his birthday. He didn't know what Sebastian weighed at birth. And then to top it off, you're right. When they asked for photos, it was all baby pictures. But then people out here judging the fact that the only photos that Katie and Chris have of Sebastian, they're all goofy photos. Well, guess what? Your child as a teenager has to be in a goofy mood for them to even allow you to take a photo. That's how my children are. Or I have to bribe them. I mean, you don't get many photos of teenagers. He still, yes, then he cried about Katie.
Yeah.
That was an odd statement. The whole curse word thing was bizarre to me. Right. Or the lack of. Sorry. And that he walked around with a bottle of champagne all night. Oh, yeah. Sounds like it was off to a great start.
Right, you're not impressing anybody, Seth. You're not impressing anybody at all. Stop that.
Right. That was just ridiculous to even, it was a bit infuriating, to be honest, because it's like, oh, yeah, and I had a headache, and it was, give me Tylenol and a bottle of champagne, and I went to bed, and Katie never forgave me for that. And yeah, I'm sure Katie's like, you know what, on our wedding night, I'm sure that's not her only complaint about you, sir.
Right.
And you know what? When people are complaining about me saying he purchased a motorcycle, well, let me go ahead and ask you all this question. And listen, this is going to be a little mean towards Seth, and I should listen to what True said and not be so mean. But if Seth is claiming that his shoulder injury is so horrible that he can't even search for his son, how's he going to ride a motorcycle?
Well, even on a very practical level, he has stated many times that he has been recently rather medicated.
Driving
Uh,
under the
and it's not only not safe, but he would be directly in breach of every legal regulation about driving on the law, as well as any insurance terms. So it's just not a good idea.
And
Please
it's also weird that he said that he was borrowing a motorcycle, but the people that are running this said that he's not borrowing a motorcycle from them. I mean, maybe he has a friend with one he's getting one from, but I don't know. Yeah, and then the first thought when told he's going to be a father is that he's going to be a bad father. When asked about what Sebastian weighed, he said it was nothing compared to the weight on his shoulders, and you still didn't buck up. You still didn't buck up to the plate. I mean, come on. I think it's because Chris rides, and now Seth has to ride. I think he probably wants to kind of lead it, if you ask me, like being on a motorcycle in the front. I don't fault the man for that. I find it crazy that, again, if roles were reversed, people would have something to say about it. Considering Sebastian right now is 15, I wonder how people would feel if Katie was allowing him to date a 25-year-old and what they would say about that. It's a great thing. Right, Charisse, that's what they came out and said. The borrowed bike was for Pascal, not for Seth. He is the focal point on a motorcycle. That's what I think will be. I can kind of see it, like leading. I can see him being an honorary, front of the parade type of thing. I don't really fault him for that, but I do think that he thoroughly enjoys being the forefront. I don't actually have a phone number thing, Karen, but I don't know if you've ever been on StreamYard, but if you click that link, it will ask you, if you haven't, to attach it to your YouTube, and then it will direct you to the panel.
just mute your YouTube before you come up.
Yeah. Great. I always forget that.
Took me a while to learn that, because I would try to do it the other way and then realize I was up there a lot quicker than I thought. I was like, oh, how did this happen?
I didn't have time.
Right? I thought I had time to hit buttons. What's happening?
It was great. Where the truth lies, you're right. People were freaking out, believing that Katie and Chris purchased a motorcycle. I didn't see any of those creators correct that, by the way. But, a month ago, Chris was spotted in a Harley shop. People were coming at him over false info. They brought a motorcycle. Yep. Tony knows exactly what he's doing. That man is calculated. He's a slime ball. I didn't even finish the... Let me play. Do you mind if I play a little bit of this,
Oh, I do not mind at all, my dear.
All right.
Where did you go, Granny? Granny, are you trying to play us something we can't see?
Sorry, I wanted to pause really because did you guys lose sound? Oh, it wasn't playing for you. I'm so sorry. I ran to grab a drink. Wait, I apologize. I disappeared and just left it running. I'm so sorry, guys.
The entire chat will swear to the fact that I was silent. They will. And then I got brave and was like, Granny, are you there?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Karen, no. When you come on, it will say camera. You can just click that off. I'm trying to think when you come up as a guest. I think the first thing it will show your little avatar and the mic, and you click the camera thing to turn it off. Yeah, no sound. I'm sorry. Oh, there, you got it. Little avatar and the mic, and you click the camera thing. You just have to mute YouTube in the background.
Okay, I did.
Okay. Hello, welcome to the panel.
Hi. Oh my God, first time caller ever.
Oh, I'm honored.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in before I went to actually go pick up my own kids. I've got an 8th grader graduating this weekend, and yeah, a freshman. So I've got 2 kids Sebastian's age, and I'm in Pensacola, Florida, so I'm not that far away. And I've been watching it from day one, along with Soto Case and Chad Daybell, all the. So I got, after Mother's Day, I came home and got on that live with Tony. It took me forever to get to him because he wasn't even under any kind of Sebastian TikToker or whatever. And he called me out 3 or 4 times. Every time I asked any kind of pointed question, he got just pissed off, wouldn't answer it. And then I hear him later on talk about everything I was asking him about. That was my first red flag on that guy.
Oh, interesting. So he wouldn't answer you.
He wouldn't answer the questions that most of the panels on YouTube were asking. Just what is his, they were talking about creators inserting themselves into cases, right? And I had heard
the irony.
Right. And I had brought up, well, what was going on with you in the Idaho 4? And he lost his mind. Lost it. Yeah. But that's what everyone wanted to know. This guy had just shown up. You know, what do you do? People were linking him with Chris Proudfoot and the crane thing. And so I just wanted to know, you know, tell us about yourself. And my God, that creator girl was awful. She was sitting there smoking and screaming at somebody off camera. TikTok's just wild. But I'm trying to stay up on the
over there.
TikTok really is like the Wild West of the
internet. It is, and
It's
that's
like,
probably
what's
why
happening?
they're that's why they're over there, because Tony's sitting there with smiles on his face. He doesn't know anything we all don't know, right? I mean,
well, you know what
I just didn't get a good feeling from him from the start. That's all I got to say. And then his reaction to me made me almost walk away completely. But I have a very heavy heart for Sebastian. And I asked my girls, do y'all think he was online? And they said, well, yeah. I mean, shit, one of my girls got busted. Her dad, my ex, is an assistant principal at their middle school. So she got busted getting online, talking to somebody, playing a game. So I know Sebastian had access of the internet, and I hope law enforcement is looking at it. I would think they are, but they're not going to tell us. I mean, it took them, 2 months to get Stephen or Stefan, whatever his name is, to get him arrested, and they had a body. You know,
they actually arrested Stefan 3 days later. It took them 2 weeks. Yeah, it took them 2 weeks to come out with a presser about it.
Okay,
or to actually charge him. To charge him for actual the death of Maddie. It did take them a little bit longer because they had him under arrest already. Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I'm trying to keep up with all of it.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say about
But
I
it takes
forget what I was
time,
gonna
was my
ask you.
point. It just takes time for the law enforcement guys. They're probably watching all of this.
Oh, I'm sure. Liv, we
I'm
all
watching
did think
the
that
chat.
Sebastian did
sorry.
not have access, but Seth himself said that he did have access. While he
And
was
it
a
came
Seth,
out
he
in
had
the
access.
beginning. And didn't they say in the beginning he didn't have any access? And then a couple weeks later he does. So we don't know what's going on. And law enforcement isn't going to tell us. I'm watching Chad Daybell, and oh my God, the manpower it took to get those two on the internet stuff that they had, the text messages, and they almost tried yesterday in Chad Daybell, he almost got off for murdering JJ because they got the date wrong on the court papers. I mean, it takes time, it takes a lot of manpower, and I'm just trying to stay hopeful that he's out there.
So I have two things to say about that. One, you're right. It takes a lot of time, and there's different levels to go through, right? You have to get warrants, then you have to bring to the FBI, and there's a lot. So it's going to be slow moving. I don't know about 3 months slow moving, but it is. But the whole Chad Daybell. So there's actually a man that's on YouTube that used to be in this chat and others. He's still in some, who actually murdered the mother of his children, stabbed her 19 times, and he actually got out on a technicality. He got out because when he was supposed to have his hearing, the original, be like the state prosecutor, they were from the UK, they had to fill in for that day. So when they went to reschedule the date, they all agreed, his attorney and everything. Well, here it was out of the frame of his allotted, you have a certain amount of time, fair hearing type of thing. So he was actually released. So this murderer who stabbed her 19 times in front of their young children is actually within the true crime community.
So can you imagine what they have to get in line before they can do anything with anybody? If they have anything, I mean, they have to make this case very secure. They don't want to lose anybody if they've got information. They're not going to tell us.
Well, what's most important is this has not turned over to a criminal investigation. They are still stating they have no foul play. They don't suspect foul play.
Hey, listen, I'm divorced. I've been divorced for 9 years. I'm married in 15 years to a terrible narc who kidnapped our kids he's married to the woman he knocked up while we were pregnant. If either one of our kids went missing, I'm in Florida, I have a hard time believing we'd still be at home kicking it. I don't understand what's going on in Tennessee, and I understand there's no evidence of anything, but I just think that they're watching everything and dotting their I's, crossing their T's.
Oh, without a doubt. And I don't think a bunch of nobody TikTokers are going to get them to come out and speak.
And that was my point. Tony didn't even know facts of the case. I was just asking him, what did he know about this and that? And he lost his mind on me, called me out for I heard he was flirting with Miss Curvy the other night too. So he probably just didn't like my name and the fact that it had Karen in it. It must have triggered him, but anyway.
So he was pretty disrespectful to you, your first encounter with him?
And if I would have known that I couldn't get to it later, I didn't realize you had to screen record on TikTok. I would have recorded it for probably just myself. But he was, my face was so red, I almost hung up and just forgot about Sebastian. But he's too heavy on my heart, so I can't pull myself away from it, unfortunately.
That's why they gravitate towards TikTok for that exact reason, so that the lives disappear. And
no one challenges them. They've got a bunch of people on there doing exactly what they
Yep.
So
that's
actually, I just see a lot of people wanting their money. They want to know where their money is that they donated. But the only thing I hear from Seth is that some elusive money. There was really no money, and now it's just a mess, man. Other summer wells.
Well, as I was going over this video today, I did see that Crabtree down here was actually live, and all I seen across the thing was donated stars and cupcakes, and that's all monetary value. So I think there is more money to be made on TikTok.
Well, hello. I mean, does this not just fit into every red flag out there? Oh, God.
Absolutely.
My heart breaks for just even hearing what happened with the stuff about Katie involved. My God, I have a twin sister who's kind of messed up, and didn't take real good care of her own daughters. And my parents tried to step in multiple times, but they freaked out every time CPS came around because they couldn't take care of those kids. They're too old. So, it was very frustrating. They were never in terrible danger. She just wasn't a great mom. And so a lot of that stuff doesn't need to come out, but the internet is going to do what the internet does. And now her stuff is out there. That's heartbreaking for her.
Oh, it's heartbreaking for all of them.
Yeah, I don't wish that on anybody. God. But that's Seth, right? Isn't that what Seth was putting out there? I heard it out of his mouth first. Very frustrating.
Yes.
All of it.
Most of it came out of Seth's mouth. Absolutely. Everything that we
he was
had
the
that we
first one
know.
I heard it from. Yeah.
Yep.
And
very
now I'm
unfortunate.
hearing he's staying at home so Katie can go work. Come on. I've been married to 2 men already that did that to me. That's bullshit. Seth needs to get out there and get busy making his own money and drop these clowns that are just taking it all and all the attention away.
Well, on the subject of money, Tony was very eager to remind people that law enforcement would be keeping an eye on all of these creators. Do they not think that law enforcement keeps at least some eye on the amount of money that's coming in towards these people? I mean,
I don't know
that's
if
not
they
their
do.
main
Or,
focus, but they do. They do. I can speak from prior experience with other people. They do.
people go to jail now over all these kind of cancer cons and scams. I mean, this is vulnerable people. It's a haven of vulnerable people. Christ,
Well, the
missing
problem-
kids? Are you kidding? Does it get any worse than that?
Well, the problem is there was no real guide to what the money was going to be for, right? So originally the money was going to be so that Seth could go out and look for Sebastian, not have to worry about going back to work. Well, there is
Which I am all for.
Right, but then the
moment
the GoFundMe was met, the moment he started getting all this money, suddenly his shoulder started acting up again, so he couldn't go out and search. So he never used it to search. So where did the money go? But nobody, right? He was advised not to make it. It's crazy.
I flip-flopped with Seth back and forth from day one, which that's a red flag, right? He shouldn't be out here doing this. It's all a red flag to me. No,
it's nothing but drama.
Yeah.
Oh, so last night,
it's a distraction, basically, which is sad.
I agree. Last night,
and
Tony
then the whole
came out.
Julia thing. Oh my God, I hadn't heard the Julia stuff till I got on your channel. I didn't know. I've seen her out there a bunch, and I've seen her all over the platforms, but I had no idea. I knew she was butthurt on Mother's Day because I went to her Facebook page, and I went through all the Facebook pages, and I saw her on there.
Well, she was actually on this panel on Mother's Day.
Julia, get off social media, honey. This ain't rocket science.
So Beachy Keene said Tony also gave the amount of $2,200 is needed to fix Nina's truck. So Nina,
what is that girl doing? Looking for a kid in Tennessee. Her TikTok has like 20 people, and she has, if you go to her TikTok, she has missing person after missing person after missing person posted. It's like if she couldn't get attention on one of them, she just keeps posting them. I hadn't even gone down about the felon thing yet.
She barely has any interaction when it comes to her TikTok.
Right.
Her organization website is private, so you can't even get into that. We already went over the other day, yesterday, what her criminal record is as of less than a year ago. Oh. And now she needs $2,200 hard-earned dollars of everybody else.
Guess what? I don't have a car. I'm taking Uber right now. Why don't y'all send me money? She's nobody. She's no different than anybody else out there. Why?
Well, and she has no credentials to add. And if she claims that she's bringing her and her team, you mean to tell me nobody on this professional search and rescue team has a working vehicle, a reliable vehicle? They need this money.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, this is collecting a bunch of rando people, felons. I mean, I hear Tony's a felon. Now Nina's a felon. My God, people.
So is Crabtree. Stephen Crabtree down here is as well. But the whole thing is they all want money. They all want money off this case. I like I said, I tuned into his thing today as I was live, and all I see is all this, monetary donations going up. Somebody said TikTok takes 70%. I don't know if that's true. YouTube does take 45%, which is why creators prefer Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, tips instead of, the super chats because they take such a large sum of your money. 70% seems very high. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a creator. I'm just an observer. But Tony did end up answering me about the Idaho thing, and he admitted him and his family were driving through town, and he happened to put up a TikTok or some type of video about the Idaho 4, and that's how he got connected. So he clearly came out and said he's out there trying to get clicks and views. I mean, he ended up answering it after he chewed me out.
Oh, that's
Tony
what Tony said.
Yeah, he said his connection to the Idaho 4, him and his family were driving through the town, and he had taken a picture and it pinned his location, right? So then he turned it into a video on TikTok or Facebook, and it got attention. So that's what he came out and said, which to me is like, okay, Idaho, and now you're in Tennessee, and Caleb's in Texas,
right?
And you're not doing anybody a service by spreading yourself all over town. And where is his wife? What does she have to say? Isn't that man working a job?
He said that he's working a job, but so I found this. I find this comment, Michelle, to be very interesting. So Tony said last night that Stephen paid the $2,200 for Nina's truck repair. Well, that's a brilliant scam, right? Because now what people are going to do is they're going to donate extra to Stephen to help make up for that $2,200, which there's going to be there's no fundraisers. There's not going to be any way to keep track of what amount was raised and what amount was replaced. And instead, they actually benefit more off of that because there's nobody to track the money. Where if they did a GoFundMe or a fundraiser or a PayPal fundraiser, everybody would be able to see the exact amount collected, and the goal, once met, would be shut down. In this instance, there is no shutdown.
And that's
and so now Tony, the felon collector, is hooking up his buddies with Sebastian's money meant to go to Sebastian. Oh shit.
Yep. What were you thinking, Wade?
Just
sorry,
that little trickle down or trickle up of money happens, unfortunately, often within certain sectors of the true crime area, and it's always a disparate bunch of people who have appeared out of apparently nowhere. The irony of Tony stating that about other people was kind of funny. But pop up out of nowhere, and then this weird little arrangement of one gives money to the other one, who then siphons it off to somebody else, and now they need money because, well, they were so generous to help somebody else, and it's a constant little
It's a trickle
making arrangement.
Right. Like I said, it's a better money making arrangement because now there's no goal to be sought. Nobody gets to see a goal. And then we have over here, where'd that go? I don't know where it went. Oh, now they're talking about making a wish list for what? She got a brand new coat off of the other case, brand new gloves, toiletries, laundry detergent. What do these people need a wish list for? What, these professional programs, these people that want to file for a 5013C, they need your money and your gifts to go aid in the search of Sebastian, where there were free professionals willing to put forth their services with zero money needed. But now these three, quite frankly, criminals, they come along and they need your money. Perfect example, dude. Yep.
And I say all that having been caught out previously with other people who I believed were on the up and up, who were doing the right thing for a missing person. And it's only later that you find out that they're not. And then only much later that you find out that there's a whole lot more behind that even. And it's frightening. It's somewhere where we can be of use to other people, where we can help them understand that it's not just that we're saying we don't like you. It's not that. It's just we recognize certain things because we've been through it before.
Right. Danielle's asking, does anyone know if they interrogated three of them separately? I can almost guarantee. I mean, of course, I don't know for sure, but we're talking about professionals, so I would assume that they've done their jobs correctly. But this is crazy if you think about it. So all of a sudden, this guy comes out of nowhere, right? He has insider information from Police Wade. He comes out, he's given information nobody else has had. Now, instead of Nina Glass being looked into further, that's all being excused. The three of them are working together. They have wish lists and money, and what is going on here?
Right, and Stephen gets to come in here being the hero on 2 counts. Not only has he provided information from law enforcement, but he's provided the finances to help Nina get to the place where she's going to do all the searching. He is hero man of the hour. Wonderful.
You're right. Because while he was live today, while I was live and I looked over in it, I kept seeing, once again, people are bringing up barbecue. I don't even know who the hell that is. But he was like, I guess in the drama, like, barbecue said this about me. They're all like, no, you're a great guy. Here's some cupcakes. I don't know the value of it. But it was basically he was being loaded with all these, you're what you're doing is amazing. Keep up the great work. We need you. You're fantastic. And what is he doing? He's inserting himself into an open investigation and making wish lists. Where'd he come from?
I've heard that name of that barbecue person before, partly because their followers seem to be very good at self-promotion, for
Yeah,
one.
they did fantastic during Pascal's show. I was kind of thinking, like, where the hell are my mods? How come you guys aren't out advertising me all over?
Right, we're all
Seriously.
slacking. We need to go and bombard everybody. But yeah, it was wild. They were doing the most. They were very convinced that this barbecue person was just doing all the things, and I haven't seen any of the things from the barbecue person.
Yeah, I didn't even go and look. I found it so distasteful to be arguing over super chats during such an important conversation that I was like, eh. How much can she do with bad knees and bad back? Can't work because of these disabilities, but can go and search, make money off of it, have wish list gifts, and then have it written off as community service. It sounds like the perfect setup by a con that I've ever. This is coming from a con herself. I'm telling you, these people are brilliant at what they're doing. Quite the facade they have going on. Quite the facade. He skipped mine as well because I said don't put out that information about Sebastian. The CPS reports. Keep some of your son's integrity intact. If Sebastian is out here, can you imagine walking back into this?
Right. That part makes me very, very sad, and it's why I keep trying to remind people that for all that we do know, and I hope to God of all the things I have thought of, it would be the best case scenario. And I am not a glass half full kind of person. I am not that person. I am the one who has 9 million plans for when everything goes wrong. If Sebastian is lucky enough to come home, I say lucky enough because any other option would be unbearable. But this situation, none of it is good. None of it. No matter which parent, no matter which arrangement, all of it is bad right now. And
I
that is
agree.
something we can all work on. There's one thing in particular I want to ask from people. And I know that people in here don't do it too much, so I suppose it's really preaching to the choir, but name calling the parents, use their actual names. Don't
You mean I
give
can't
them
say Eeyore?
right. Use their actual names. Just do that. If that's the only grace that you can give a person is just to use their name, just do that. Because
Well, how
somewhere out there,
immature.
I hope Sebastian will come back, and you want him at least to know that you've had enough respect for him to not be name calling his parents.
That's a good point. I mean, how juvenile do you have to be to call them the proud feets to begin
Right?
with? I mean, that's just ridiculously petty. And imagine again with some of these creators, if we turn around and use their last names and made jokes about their last names, they'd be having a fit.
And that's the best case scenario. We've heard people talking about their genitals, all sorts of things, and
Mhm.
blah, blah, horrible.
I forget there was a comment. Sorry. Hey, Just Breathe. Good to see you. Is Stephen right here? Stephen is the connection to Ellie. What did they not want him on panels trashing Ellie? Since that's why they won't work with Seth. No way anybody in Ellie is going to give him info again. Well, again, I hope the Proudfoots have looked in to this guy and his claims of having, and that lady having claims of having connections to investigators on this case. I don't see how that is morally accepted, that they can just give this rando, this man that walks into their station, this type of private information that apparently they did not even offer to the father, the PIs, or the PR. So annoying. I don't believe these people. Yeah, Tony was seeing the super chats. I agree. No, he is not T-Rev. That's unfortunately Trevor's name is very close, but no, that's Trevor time. Her organization was dissolved in April. You can look up corporate docs. I showed it yesterday, Heather. I agree. And she's being very slick, calling herself Nina Glass, because there is a woman with a similar name that has a similar name organization that is legit. That is why Nina here is hiding. And she's hiding behind TikTok Tony and Crabtree Phony. And it's just and again, they want your money, they want your super chats, they want your cash apps, they want all the things. Does it really? Listen, whether we like Julia or not, she did not ask for a penny to go to Tennessee. She actually has the credentials. Heather and Chloe, the PIs, like them or not, they were working for free. They didn't ask for a penny. Okay. And yet these people come along, these people with felony records, and they need all your money to get to Tennessee. If I call me crazy, but one thing I've always been taught that I've passed on to my children is if you can't afford it, you can't do it. Right? If I can't afford to go down the shore this weekend with my kids, we don't go. If I can't afford, you can't afford it. If your truck needs to be fixed, I'm sorry. At our ages, I just find it hard to believe that a professional doesn't have a operating up to code vehicle. It's just very, and then Terry over there is getting tires popped. No photo proof or anything. Tires just. These people are amazing. Coming from law enforcement background, I will tell you, Ellie will not give some random person who is lacking credentials any information that would not be open to everyone. Thank you.
Nope.
I don't see the comment, you guys. I don't see Monkey Mar's comment.
Oh, just underneath Sin, and above Ellie.
Just underneath Sin and above Ellie. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it.
Oh. Let me see. Now I've scooted up past it. Oops. I've been calling her and the two others 3.
Oh. I've been calling her and the 2 others out for 3 years. They sent me a cease and desist. Really? Well, if you'd like to send me an email with what you know. A cease and desist. Huh. Now I see it. I don't know why I couldn't see it at first. That's interesting. Okay. They're interfering with the case. They are. Wow. Right. They get clout, money. They get, they're trying to do a 501, and it's a whole mess of things. Again, I don't know if Seth is aware of what he's signing into. I wanted to show you, well, I'm going to forward you an email, about the murderer I told you about that got off on the technicality. Because before the crime even happened, he made a post, getting revenge on hoes, especially 2 local bitches. Then he goes, somebody wrote, "Oh my God, someone is on about going to cops because you have hacked into her account and changed her password." He wrote, "Revenge has already started." Then they go, "I hope you're not calling her a bitch, Dave." And then somebody goes, "Did somebody piss you off, hun?" And somebody wrote back, "Yes, his wife, the wife that he went on to murder."
Oh my God.
Very unbelievable that he got off on that. How does a flying drone around qualify this man to speak to Ellie anyway? How does flying a drone around? Right. Again, this guy has a criminal record too.
Well, talking of drones, that's something that also pops up very often. There's an awful lot of creators that get money raised to purchase drones and other equipment here and there. And then whenever they get their drones and the various other equipments, they don't actually go out to use them. I find that very strange. It's something that keeps happening. Maybe we could do something about that.
I couldn't see the prior comment to read it, Christina. For some reason, it didn't come up. Okay, so here we have it. He had theft up to 1,000. Now, granted, it's not that bad compared to what we've seen, but nonetheless, that's pretty interesting. New guy on the team.
Well, and I know that when compared to my own experience of a certain 43 chase, that was part of how he came into the sector, was that there were rumors of his own criminal history that he had made no bones about, but basically made it seem like it was long in the past. Lo and behold, everyone, it was not at all long in the past. It was very much a current issue, and a lot of people got ripped off as a result. So please keep your wits about you whenever people are tugging at your heartstrings to get money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I didn't realize in my poll, guys, that I wrote, do you believe Tony? Do you think Tony is aware of who his team is? 73% said yes, 27% said no. And that's out of 774 votes. I meant to write Seth. So that kind of ruined that poll, huh? I'm sure Tony's aware of who his team is, absolutely. But do we think Seth is aware?
That's why we all said yes.
I
We were
know.
like, yeah, Granny.
Yeah, he's aware. Duh, they're his friends. So
he
goofy.
cherry picked him for the job.
Oh, listen, I get it. People like Dolly. He's entertaining. He's an entertainer for sure. But he's also a businessman, right? Selling Where's the Baby soap and Dirty Katie soap and all that. He's another one that got people to pay for a camper so he can go on all these missions to look for these missing kids, and he's not utilized it once. So,
Well, that reminds me of something. Did anybody who maybe, I don't want to out you in the chat, if you happen to watch Dolly, you'll get no shame from me at this moment. I have a question for you though. Does anybody know if Dolly ever made that donation to Nick Mac that he said he was going to make, the 10% of the funds from the Where's the Baby soap? Just, I'm curious. It's not me being smart. I genuinely have not heard anything about it since.
nope, I haven't either. Not at all. So I'm seeing Monkey Mars comment now because somebody actually sent me a screenshot. She wrote, I've been dealing with Nina Glass and her fraud since 2021. My best friend used to search with her. There are 2 more scammers behind them. One is a dog handler. I've got too many stories regarding her. Well, I'll tell you what, Monkey Mar, I don't know if you do panels, but if you'd like to shoot me an email and perhaps we can set up to have a panel together, or if you don't do panels and you just want to share what you know and what you have, I'd be more than happy to utilize, my platform to further expose her. I think the woman's very concerning. I thought that I heard Dolly turned on Seth. They're all slowly turning. I seen Pascal starting to turn before he appeared on panel with Tony and Seth. JLR turned on him. I seen Crime Lines made a meme putting Seth as Trump and saying you're fired and asking Seth why he's firing all the professionals for these non-professionals. So yeah, the ties are taking place. We expected them to.
Yep. But that's guaranteed. When you make somebody the hero of the piece before you even have any information, you're doomed at that point. It's dangerous. We see it all the time. It's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. Awesome, Monkey Mar. Amazing. We can set something up maybe for later today if you're available or for whenever. But Karen says she bought Dolly's soap. Bless it, Karen. You're sweet. Nobody ever leaves Granny's watch. Woo! Yes, they do, Gary, but not you, my friend, with 28 months on the screen. Holy moly, thank you so much. Wow, 28 months. We've been here a long time, my friend. Oh, it still blows my mind. Like, I know they've been with me so long, but it just blows my mind that it's been this long. It's such an honor. Scary how Seth puts all his faith in the felons to find his son. It is, and then you look at what Seth is around all day, Booberry. He's around felons. Maybe that's who he's familiar and comfortable with. Maybe it's a birds of the feather flock together type of thing. I don't know. I am curious about your soap though, Karen. I'm being honest. Did it smell good? Did you get it in time? Was it clean looking? Did you break out? You all right? all their hard-earned money has Seth and his little Mary band of misfits, but don't see value in funding billboards. So listen, I don't know. I'm sure many of you have seen it. Duchess did put up billboards, and bless her heart, she's spending $20 a day. I personally couldn't afford that. But you and I, as the average, if you're all broke bitches like me or broke men like me, we can afford a billboard. They're very low cost. They're affordable to the masses. You can choose how much you want to spend a day, how much you want to choose a week. And they're like a flip screen billboard. Now, I go down Jersey Shore a lot in the summer. I plan on going today to go print out some flyers of Sebastian. I plan on putting them all across, my route down there, my route back. And a lot of people go down there for the summer. So I was looking to see if there are billboards available through this around there, but there's not, unfortunately, not, on the actual boardwalk or surrounding area. But I can still put out flyers. That is something each of us can do in here. If you can't afford a blip board, or you can't afford, to put any monetary value into it, you can go print out flyers and put them around your neighborhood. As low budget, as affordable, consider it an exercise, walking around and just staple it to the, do what we can in our areas. Not you, because I don't think the UK really.
Well, exactly. I mean, it has happened before where we have put out flyers and stuff, but we decided to use, well, those of us that are sort of connected to this little group of YouTube, use our resources slightly differently this time. But the blip billboards are very different because you can pay directly to blip. So
Yes.
say if you were as an individual and you only had $10, I'm just picking a random number for an example. You can do that. It doesn't go into any other YouTuber's name.
Right.
But what you can then do is you can either put up your own design or you can use the template that somebody like Duchess has already made up for you, and you can either add to a campaign that is already running on certain boards, or you can pay for a new board in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
The fee increases with the amount of blips that it uses because it's on a rotation. So that's where that comes in. It's very interesting, very cost effective. That's how they're able to run them in various different places. But it takes away that temptation for somebody to be squirreling money away, because that isn't a possibility with this. The money can go directly to the company to
Right.
take
So
away the
there's
middleman.
no middleman at all. And then they will also tell you how many people had viewed the blip, I guess, based off traffic, whatever. It's pretty amazing. So Revival says she was happy to entertain somebody saying there's no live billboards. You just reminded me, I received an email from somebody who has a billboard for a different missing person around my area that they were asking if I could take a photo of. You just reminded me of that. I got to check into that again. Yeah, of course they're going to claim that, but the proof was shown. She's also the person that debunked the flashlight video and then later wanted the flashlight video to be believed because she found a new way to twist it, like the shadows in the Watts case. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Usually these people have a habit of recycling their own content, and whenever you hang around for long enough, which most of their viewers won't do, and they rely on that. But whenever you've been around for long enough, you see it happening, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, what do you do?"
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you guys use that phrase, like if someone is just brazen about something, that you would say they have a brass neck. But it's a common phrase over here. That's what
I've
I
heard
think
it
of
before.
often whenever I look at YouTubers. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cheeky.
You guys always say things in such a polite way. We're just like, you fucking bullshitter.
Oh, we do a lot of that too. We do. We do. My people especially. We're fluent in all of the naughty words.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, you're right. The first poster or Amber Alert was wrong. Funny how Chris seemed to know immediately Seth's family would go for a cash grab. Right. Well, Seth has been very lazy his entire life, quite frankly, from what we've gathered. Yeah, it is. Is it another small batch soap maker soap repackaging and packaging? So it's not a small batch soap. It's actually you buy it in bulk. And it's legal. Like the company sells the soap for you to resell it. So he's not, and what he's doing is not illegal, but it is very fraudulent to claim he makes the soap. Yeah, cheeky sounds very polite. Did you get the email, Monkey Mar? I'll keep my eye out. Yeah, T-Rav owes a lot of child support. There's a lot to be said about a lot of these creators. I do get a lot with a lot. Yes. It bothers me with all these funds being raised. No one is doing it for good. That matter, but untrained and unqualified people who will never help. We're rude over here. It's because you're in Florida. Yeah. Chris also knows that Seth is reactive. That's why he told him immediately not to be mad.
Right. And I think that whole reactive thing, that's certainly something, not to poke a raw wound already, but the web sleuths interview, for what it was, I have been a loyal follower of web sleuths for over a decade. Trisha Griffiths is one of the best human beings you will ever meet. She is a wonderful person in her own right, but her organization also does a lot of good things. It avoids doing the very thing that we see on a daily basis on YouTube. But that circumstance of how that came to be with the PIs and how people were involved, and then a father, and then the other father, and then the of awfulness that followed, was a whole mess. And I believe there will be answers at some point that'll come out to a whole lot of that, but you just won't get them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best way I can say certain things and not say certain things, if you're following my drift.
Are you from Belfast?
Near enough.
You know, it cracks me up. You're such a like a slow, like well-spoken, pronounce your words, and I'm such a fast talker. I realized the other day I listened back, and because you had said something to me, like you apologized to me, and I'm like, for what? I listened back and I realized I cut you off a lot, so I do apologize.
Do you know what's funny? Whoever it was that said that comment about me being from Belfast will know that we talk really quickly. If anything, I have learned to speak an awful lot slower by being on YouTube, because otherwise people wouldn't pick up what I'm saying at all. Plus, I also have to soften what I say a little bit for
Oh, you're
obvious
right.
reasons. But
My
my natural speed of speaking would be closer to yours.
That makes a lot
Can
of
you
sense because your
imagine?
accent. Well, that's like my friend. My friend puts on, she speaks in a more American accent on here, but she's not American. She's Scottish. And when she speaks in her Scottish accent, we can't understand a word she's saying. So I that makes more sense. Okay.
Yes,
You
yes,
have to
yeah.
talk slower.
You have to, otherwise people would be like, what?
Right.
You sound like a wee bird or something.
I'm with Mia here. So Mia says, let me say, I also think Chris is terrible, but I don't think he's conning money. I don't think Chris is the best of I don't think Chris has a soft touch in him, right? And I don't mean like he's physically abusive. I think he's just very like rude, right? He's like very like, I don't even think that's a word. I just said that. Like, but he's very, like he's not the type to be like, okay, calm down, Sebastian. From what I've heard, he's more like, you stop it right now or I give you a reason to cry type of person. But I don't think that makes him guilty of doing anything. And he certainly, Chris said himself, unfortunately, I have to go to work because I don't have a GoFundMe paying my bills. And I do think if they were to come out and have a GoFundMe, I do think people would support them. But I don't think he's the I think they're hardworking people that have worked their whole lives, where Seth, on the other hand, is opposite. I think that they're more prideful and they don't want money from this, and others do. Yeah.
Right. And it becomes a minefield then, because people will feel a certain type of way about the biological parents rather than a step parent or any additional caregiver. And it all becomes layers of who believes who should get what help. And it becomes very, very messy.
I agree.
No matter what people do, it's very hard to be able to support people, but they're very different personalities in one way.
Yeah.
And yet whenever you step back and sort of look at how both Seth and Chris present themselves, they're very similar in another way.
Absolutely agree. Well, Katie likely married men that were alike, right? They usually say that's how it goes. And Susie's right. To have a GoFundMe in a missing child's case is bizarre. And Seth had the GoFundMe started early on, like 3 days after Sebastian disappeared. His family made a GoFundMe for him. That's odd. That's odd as hell. It's not normal.
And it's hard to gauge whether that becomes just an unfortunate effect of being attached to social media in our current age, that people they want to help, and we're used to being in circumstances where you can't help, or usually the best help you could give somebody is to pop round with a casserole. Realistically, uh that's certainly how my people communicate. If you
Right.
know, you bring food, you do something. um and it seems like the GoFundMe is now just the online version of that. People
You're
want to
right. It does
help.
happen really quickly, but normally it would be done like, all right, say, an adult's missing, and now her children are left in the care of a friend or a relative, so a GoFundMe's made to help support that parent with that, the new responsibility of having to raise these kids. In this case, it was 3 days later. Why did
Yep.
after 3 days does Seth feel that he needed a GoFundMe? And to top it off, I'm pretty sure his work helped him be able to stay off. So it's not like he was at risk of losing his job, or he was going to end up broke on his ass after 3 days. No, he had a lot of support from his fellow neighbors, his coworkers, and
And that sort of ties into the shoulder injury as well, the way that that was presented whenever
Mhm.
Sebastian had went missing, that it was an injury related to something that had happened around the time, possibly when he was searching, or at
Yep.
least whatever, when realistically that's an ongoing issue.
It was
And
it was an issue he had prior to asking
yeah,
for funds to be able to stay home and search for his son.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sammy, yes, he had paid personal leave, a lot of paid personal leave. Billboards do not cost 25K. No, no. You can actually get it for up to whatever amount you can afford a day. So rather it be $5,
Yep.
he's not searching. Why do people say Seth stayed at profit? He said that. Seth
If you
himself
want
said he stayed.
If you want to find out about the blip billboards in particular, if you go to Duchess for the Missing, or her channel, she will, there's a lot of her recent streams will explain that
Yeah.
very clearly to you. I recommend watching those in particular. They're very, it makes it all understandable. She will give you the wee links. She gives you the wee links on her community posts, all the things. Go do that.
Right. And honestly, I mean, it's right here, billboards.com, but they did that during the Summer Wells case. Tiffany Marie and Benny Key set up the bill. That's when I first heard of them. That was amazing. Why did she get reported? Yeah, Chris is a no nonsense type of guy. Absolutely agree. Thank you, Summer. So Summer wrote, why does Dolly have a $130 membership tier? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I felt guilty putting one past $5. So I would never understand how somebody could ask for that much. That's crazy. I do wonder if he has members under that membership. I mean, hell, that's some loyal following. $130 a month. That's like,
What in the
pay my
MJL
internet
are
and
we
cable.
even doing?
Right. I don't even put on ad revenue. What the hell? Like, missing something here. Oh, that's
But
crazy.
there's always
$130.
a loyal couple of subs who will go that extra mile to take out the top tier. It wouldn't matter if they're not getting anything for it. They will
Wow.
do it just to be like number one donator. It's
Well, if
really
anybody wants to be
odd.
number one donator to me, no, that's crazy though. $130. I can't even imagine anybody being, it's like people that pay Molly $50 being her Patreon. I can't fathom people even having the audacity to ask for that type of money. Peachy, I was asking Karen the same thing. I don't think she answered yet about the soap. Um, Someone has more money than sense. That's crazy. Oh, her last two shows had such vulgarity that they banned her. Wow. I'll be honest, I'm not surprised that happened. It sucks that it happened, but I'm not surprised. People are so report happy, especially if you're against Seth. Hey, Mathis Granny's good to see you.
And to be fair, she's also got herself into an unfortunate. Once you start fighting with people, you are going to have their little team of people who'll report you and vice versa. It becomes a little war. But
Yeah.
you've got to be extra careful then to stay on top of everything.
Yeah, you got to
Knowing
watch your
that they're
language
just
and all.
waiting for it. They're waiting. And she has slipped into that, I
I have
think, a
so
couple
many
of
people
times.
reporting me. Well, I didn't know that at the beginning she was actually anti Proudfoots. Yeah, playing Molly to watch her eat. That was I like when people kind of, you know, oh, she'll be able to come. She's probably on, I would guess from experience, it might be like a 2-week timeout type of thing. She'll be able to definitely come back. I like her too, Joe. I like when people kind of have a change and a perspective with the case because, you know, there's nothing wrong with admitting you were wrong, right? Like if Dolly wakes up and realizes, man, I missed all these cues. Now I only think it's happening because Seth is no longer going on these people's panels, but you know, if people are willing to wake up and admit they were wrong, then that's a great thing. Granny says his rent went up 500.
Oh Lord. I don't
Where does
even
that
know.
fit in your kid missing? And no landlord just raises your lease by 500. Oh my goodness. Was that before or after he was asked where that money went? He should have been able to pay off his rent for a year. Wow. That's interesting. Any thoughts on that, Wade?
Not that I should repeat. No.
I mean, that's a huge jump. Raise a rent by 500. I mean, does the landlord not know his child's missing?
Right? I mean, did he get a hold of you? I don't. So many questions.
Right. Did he sign on to the lease with the raise 500? I don't understand it. I think anybody should get banned for vulgarity. If people don't like it, they don't have to watch. I hate censorship. Yeah, unfortunately, when you're in the YouTube partner program, we agree to certain guidelines. And personally, I'll admit I'm thankful for them. It sucks when they're used against us, but I'm grateful for it because, you know.
Right. You can still say and do certain things, but it's just YouTube expect that if they're going to advertise on your channel, that's what they're paying you sort of for. You know, they're sort of saying, look, we'll promote our stuff on your channel, and as such, you'll be allowed to monetize.
Right.
Great. We have a reciprocal arrangement. But if you are just saying the most outrageous things, then it's going to make it hard for YouTube to sell stuff. They're gonna get a little bit squirrely about that.
Yeah. And usually it says a video that uses heavy profanities in the title, a video that repeatedly uses vulgar or sexual language. Wow. But she definitely has people reporting her, though. That's why. I mean, I have a ton of people reporting me, too. So I try to watch myself.
There's a certain amount of it that it's unavoidable that you will always make. If you've opinions about a thing, even if even if they are restrained opinions, if they're opinions, somebody's going to be upset about it. And the more emphatically you express that, the easier it is for somebody to report you.
Absolutely.
I put that very nicely.
You
Pearl
did. That
would
was
be
very well
so
said.
proud of me right now.
I bet you she would. Out of nowhere, he says his rent went up 500, and it was supposed to be about Sebastian. Why am I not surprised? I think, like I said, when people are out here dropping his personal cash app, can you imagine between the GoFundMe and his personal cash app how much money he has made? And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some type of financial assistance, but I'll tell you what, the people you're bringing in don't. When people are already pushing your personal cash app to help you afford help in the search for Sebastian, there's no reason why now these people that are there as the help also need financial help. That's where I think a line is crossed. I hope not make your kid go missing. Hell, fortunately, YouTube cherry picks which guy. I know, because I know people that shouldn't even be on here. The last 30 months. You're right, Gary. Right, probably. That's all Seth ever does on panels. I have a big old Seth pity party. Yeah, I've noticed that. Place is a mess. Lots of jobs need doing, but he won't move because Sebastian don't like change. Okay. That's why it has to be really vulgar, because I curse too.
Right? I think you're definitely allowed to say the cursey words. You just maybe just not to get too descriptive.
Right.
I know I definitely have the ability when I'm annoyed to, just get a wee bit carried away with myself. Like,
I definitely curse while more too when I'm upset for sure. I've been
right?
working on not cursing though, and I'm proud of myself.
It's hard though, because then you sort of go from sounding like what you perceive as like okay, and now just sounds like a little gutter snipe type person. Then you try to rein it in a bit, and then I think I listen, hear a bit of myself back played somewhere, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I sound like a Sunday school teacher. That is so dumb. And that's not me. I have all the things to say, but I find myself often swallowing what I could say, what I want to say, because I'm like, no, just let that settle for a wee bit. Wait till you have proof. Wait till you can stand by it. Don't have to turn around tomorrow and apologize 100 ways to Sunday. Give it
No, I've
time.
been there. There is not a limit to how much they can raise the rent in Tennessee. I just looked, so no. At first, I thought Seth was just on too many painkillers, clouding his judgment. Now I think he's complicit. Very interesting. Yeah. That's rent gouging and it's illegal. There are laws against that. Not in Tennessee. It says there is no state imposed maximum limit on how much a landlord can raise rent in Tennessee. Increases should be reasonable and not discriminatory or retaliatory.
Yeah, that sounds iffy either way, because you would think with somebody with a platform. No, maybe I shouldn't say that. You could maybe just publicize that in a slightly different way and have an effect on your rent, I would imagine.
That's true. That is true. Almost 26,000 people were asking them to put it back up, and instead they were getting personal cash apps. Everybody in the nation's rent and bills have went up and keeps rising. It's unbearable. It is
Right.
unbearable.
And usually the people who are most willing to give on any platform, any circumstance of life, are going to be the people who can least afford to be giving away their money. They're usually scrimping and saving themselves, and that includes me, you, everybody that's here. None of us, I don't think, are quite at the billionaire bowling level. If you are, hit me up after the show. I would love
Yeah,
to talk
right.
to you.
Yeah, me too.
Let me tell you all about my rent later.
There is a particular creator that decided to spell out their monthly expenses because that's so very necessary.
There's one in particular that keeps
Oh.
telling everybody that they have to pay $30 a month, or sorry, $30 a month for StreamYard, and I'm like, yeah, so does everybody.
Right. Like you're not alone in that.
Special.
That's part of if listen, when you're on YouTube, especially when you're monetized, you are self-employed is what they consider it, right? And with
Yeah.
any self-employed business, you have to put money in to make money. So really spend it, and honestly, they're an idiot because I got mine at a Christmas special for 10 a month. But I don't care why does the audience need to know what you're paying for StreamYard? You're making plenty of money off ad revenue, super chats, all that stuff. Memberships, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. It's nobody's business. That's the Canva too. I know. It just blows my mind that people feel like, let me tell you what I pay for everything a month. But notice there was like no real bills involved in that. People are saying it was over 26,000. Do I think Seth is paying Tony? I think Tony is making out on his own without Seth paying him. Yeah, it's really sad.
I think it's one of those things. I really wish there was a better route to make the money more easily trackable with certain people, because I think if people truly understood how much money will be diverted to certain people behind the scenes here and
Right.
there, it would honestly frighten you.
Yeah, I agree. Just like the brilliant plan of saying Nina's truck needs $2,200 worth of repairs. That's not including what they need out of you to put the diesel gas so she can drive it to Tennessee, which she mapped out the miles and everything, but somehow she couldn't map out her monthly expenses to afford her own gas. And so then he steps up, Crabtree steps up and says, I'll pay it. So now others are like, oh, you're such a great guy. We don't need to have a fundraiser. Here, let me put in towards what you paid for her car. And there's no way to track the funds that come in or out.
And then he becomes the automatic hero. So now people start donating to Stevens, going, "Oh, you just did the world's best thing ever by
Right.
giving that lady who had nothing, you helped her," and so on and so on. And we should. The sad point is, we should want to help people. We should.
Not these people. And then
But
what comes
they're
next?
right.
Well, they didn't
right.
need your financial money towards the GoFundMe to fix her truck. So here, instead, we're going to make a wish list and have you all buy this, heavy, expensive equipment so that we can go search for Sebastian over how many days later is it now? And now we're going to pay for them to travel, get the equipment and everything to go search. I mean, again, there are professionals that are boot on the ground right now. Chloe's still out there doing her thing. Allegedly, Jules is there doing her thing. The local law enforcement, the local volunteers, they're still doing it.
Right. With this Nina lady, what is it that she is planning on doing when she gets there?
I don't know. With her 5 back surgeries and 2 knee, I don't know. Hell, I have a dislocated disc in my neck and my back. There's no way I'd be able to drive far distances like that and then go out and be boots on it. I don't know. What do they plan on joining in on the motorcycle thing? Just enough to get some footage for YouTube and leave? I don't know.
It does make the mind boggle a little bit. It does.
And what does she offer to the table that others can't or haven't?
And again, I could understand. Maybe she does have a, Liam Neeson particularly interesting set of skills. Who knows? It
Right.
could be. But well, why wouldn't you just tell us about them? If you want people to support you, you would think that would be easy.
Oh, so Julia said she couldn't go because she felt she may be in danger. So she didn't even go. Okay. Why can't you just be positive? Don't give. It's that easy. Well, because I want to warn other people, Carol. It is easy for me not to give, but if all of you don't know this information because somebody like you finds this being negative, well, then some of you may, foolishly enough, give to this con. So that would be the point of me not being positive because unfortunately it's a negative topic. Go ask Nina why she brought a negative topic to Sebastian's case.
And I think you'll find, Carol, we are being mostly positive, but having been ripped off myself by someone who was not being truthful, and ripped off a lot of other people in another missing child's case, I feel quite confident in not being ashamed of my opinion at this point.
Yeah, I agree. So Julia can feel in danger and not go, but Katie can't feel in danger. And Katie's the one that has thousands of people on her ass, right? Why don't you go? Why are you coming in here being negative instead of you living your most positive life, Miss Carol? And I did not eat pitiful because I've never seen that anywhere to be served to eat. So no, I didn't eat pitiful. Sorry. Now you go be positive. Bye-bye, Carol Berkeley. You ate pitiful. Oh.
Have a nice weekend.
Right. Enjoy your weekend, Miss Positivity.
Have a great time.
Watch out for that pitiful. They charge you a lot for that. Right, Alex. So now Julia didn't go? I thought she was like already headed on her way. I don't know. This is all bizarre. I don't know. I love it though. I might be in danger and my tires are being flattened and my kids are being threatened. But why isn't Katie out there searching? The most publicly recognized and hated. Why isn't she searching?
Right. Look, on a very serious note, whenever the United Kids and Navy people went out, there was that recorded call with a creator whose name I deliberately will not mention in case she might pop up. but that call in which the United Cajun Navy say something about being shot at,
Oh yeah, please.
right? And now since then, we've had multiple creators stating various instances with no descriptors at all of the instance of what happened, how it happened. Now, anybody who has been in any dangerous situation will be able to tell you all about it in minute detail usually.
Well, not only
We've
that, but
heard
these
nothing.
people, and not only that, but these people are recording everything. You didn't catch one
Right.
time you were being threatened on a recording, or, you can't even just show us your tire wheels to prove they were flattened, and no police report about any of this. It's all bizarre to me. I'm sorry. At the very least, these are YouTubers who overshare everything, and suddenly we can't see the fact that your tires were sloshed. Like, what?
And it's not just her, to be fair. Like there's been others too. I know that again, I'll not mention the name, but a gentleman that was out there.
The one that fell asleep driving at the wheel and endangered everybody, including himself. That one.
No, another one. But he was saying that he had been put in danger because of people knowing his location and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, and then turned from being put in danger to being threatened. When again, no evidence of anything, no description of anything that has been happening. And importantly, law enforcement have not stated there have been any reports of
Right.
anybody being threatened. That's in
None.
itself odd to me. You'd think if all of these people were being threatened, law enforcement would have something to say about it at some point.
Absolutely. Oh, now Todd Terrell's trying to walk that back and saying he meant about shooting footage, not actually being shot at. Oh, okay. People are shooting me. Okay, shooting at me. Yeah, okay. If I had slashed tires, if somebody was following me while I was filming, I do believe I would turn the camera towards that person and towards those tires. Right. That just, use your logic here. That makes no sense. You're right. That's what you're talking about, right? When they came out and said we've had no reports of anybody being threatened. And why would you listen? Here's my other thing, right? Because again, it's mainly people that are on Steph's team that are making these accusations, like TL over there. Why are you discouraging others, like Jules, from wanting to come out of fear that they're going to be in danger? When you're out here telling people your tires are slashed, your kids' lives are being threatened, you're being followed, you're all these things, you're just discouraging others from feeling safe looking. So are you really being beneficial to the case?
Right. That certainly crossed my mind as well. Is that to make them seem more heroic by continuing to search? Is it to deliberately put people off also searching? Or I don't know.
I think it's
It
a
doesn't
mixture of
make sense.
both.
It's
Mixture
weird.
of both. It is
Real
weird.
Real weird.
I agree. I think it's a good mixture of both. It's like, oh, you're so brave. Thank you for caring so much about Sebastian over the fact that your own children were threatened. Thank you. You're such a hero, type of thing, Right, crying Paula, but we've seen no evidence, not even a video, a camera, nothing. No evidence, a photo, nothing. Police report, nothing. Right. Yeah. People have no evidence of any of the claims. Nope. Oh, well, Miss we are going on nearly 4 hours. This is the longest stream I've done in a long time.
I know. As Gary is quite rightly saying there, your ability to focus and carry on is amazing to me. I start to get lost. I start to joke and get silly, whereas you're just like, no, everybody, you all
on the
need to
point
behave.
here.
And I love it.
It's the mom in me. I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
love it. I love it. But thank you very much, Granny, for having us up. And
Oh,
I
such
hope
a
you
pleasure.
have a fantastic weekend yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I hope you do as well. I'm looking
Thank you very
forward to it.
much.
You know what I noticed though? Most of the week the weather's beautiful and then come the weekend is crap and I can't stand it. It's like intentionally being punished or something by the weather.
Absolutely. It is the law. It seems to be that way here as well in the land of perpetual rain. That the good days are always the days where you have to work or have appointments or all the things.
Right.
And
Right.
then whenever you're like, right, on Sunday, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Sunday comes and there's a storm. Suddenly the heavens are opening. Terrible things are happening. You're like, yeah, I'm just cuddling up with a blanket.
Exactly. And I don't mind a good cuddle with a blanket and a good movie. It's one of my favorite things to do.
I'm going to try
But I'd
that.
rather be down the shore enjoying the weather, you know?
Oh, yes, some fresh air would be good. Thank you very
It
much,
would.
Granny. Have a lovely
Thank you.
weekend.
We'll
Bye,
talk soon.
everybody.
You're right, Beachy. This happens all the time in true crime on social media. The creators claim they're threatened, get money, use as evidence that they're getting too close to the truth. They're trying to prevent us from finding the truth. It's the Matrix. I know. I can't stand it. I really wanted to go down the shore this weekend and, you know, just be down and get away and all that good stuff. But it looks like we're going to have crappy weather. So probably be writing some movies and doing the thing. True crime and chill. That's right. I actually got a blanket that says that for my birthday last year. I do appreciate you all being here today. It was a lot. I didn't realize it was 4 hours. That's a long time. You guys were very patient. I love seeing everybody in the chat participating, actively chatting with us. It's nice to see new faces in here. Some people coming in that eyes were being opened. I can't really pinpoint exactly what's going on here, but I do say there's a lot of weird stuff. It feels very odd from the characters involved right down to the disappearance of Sebastian. It doesn't make sense to me. If you haven't, please hit the thumbs up and let's go ahead and end it on this note right here. Remembering what brought us all here together today.